Chapter 851, Battling by Jian no longer wanted to talk with Jian Chen. He directly threw a wind-like punch at Jian Chen that whistled through the air with an ear-piercing sound. The powerful driving force seemed to compress the space it passed. Jian Chen had made his preparations to battle against Bai Jian long ago. Facing Bai Jian's sudden attack, he did not panic at all, remaining calm and unperturbed. His eyes were cold, he had no intention of dodging, immediately filling up every corner of his body with chaotic force. He pushed the second layer of his chaotic body to the limit. He planned to use Bai Jian's punch to measure the strength of his chaotic force. Bang! With a muffled sound, Bai Jian's steel-hard fist struck Jian Chen's chest mercilessly. A powerful force exploded, forming visible ripples that radiated outward. Jian Chen's body shook violently. He lost control and was sent flying backward for hundreds of meters by the power of the fist. However, Jian Chen's expression remained the same. He was clearly uninjured. Bai Jian was also knocked backward by 100 meters by the reactive force. When his fist hit Jian Chen's body, he felt like he had hit an extremely tough steel board that had even made his arm go numb. What a powerful body! Bai Jian was secretly shocked and he looked toward Jian Chen. He saw that Jian Chen had not even flinched and was completely unharmed. Bai Jian was astounded and disbelief flooded his face. How is that possible? He used his body to withstand a blow from me and he's not injured at all. Even the powerful bodies of beasts of antiquities cannot do this. How did he do it? Bai Jian finally became rather stern, no longer looking down on Jian Chen. Several hundred meters away, Jian Chen stared into Bai Jian's eyes as he floated above the sea. He rubbed his chest that had become slightly painful from the attack and asked, "What heavenly layer are you on?" Although Jian Chen's powerful presence could detect Bai Jian's strength, he was unable to determine Bai Jian's exact cultivation. The 7th heavenly layer. I wonder what method you cultivate to have such a powerful body. Is there perhaps some protective treasure? Bai Jian asked with a deep voice. From Jian Chen's presence, he could tell that he was a human from a single glance and not a magical beast. He struggled to believe that a human could have a body as tough as a beast of antiquity. The 7th heavenly layer is only so much? Jian Chen chuckled to himself. He was extremely satisfied with the defense of the 2nd layer. It was actually able to receive a blow from a 7th heavenly layer saint ruler and come out unscathed. Even though it was just a casual strike, it was enough to indicate just how powerful and terrifying the chaotic body was. With what Jian Chen had said, Bai Jian's dignity seemed to be greatly offended. He immediately fell into a rage and roared out, "Your powerful body doesn't mean that you have the same strength. Since you dare to talk big, I'll let you see my true strength." Surging ripples of energy began to pour turbulently from Bai Jian. It quickly coalesced into a light blue great sword of a palm's width. He had materialized his saint weapon. Shortly afterward, Bai Jian moved, shooting toward Jian Chen like a lightning bolt and stabbing the sword in his hand at Jian Chen with the ripples of energy. Wherever the sword passed by, space would be cut open and form a pitch-black crack. This time, Bai Jian had used all his strength. He did not hold back at all. Jian Chen's expression became stern, strands of chaotic force began to spew out from his chaotic Niden and gathered in his right fist. He threw his fist toward Bai Jian's sword, using his body to fend off an attack from a 7th heavenly layer saint ruler. You dare to use your fist to match my saint weapon? Such arrogance! Bai Jian sneered. He knew that Jian Chen's body was extremely powerful, but he did not believe that Jian Chen was able to block his attack with the saint weapon with just his body. This was because the fist from before was only a test. Now that he used his full strength, the power produced was definitely something beyond the fist from before. Bang! Jian Chen's punch collided intensely with Bai Jian's saint weapon. With a boom, vast ripples of energy burst forth, causing the surrounding space to distort and constantly shake. 100-meter waves formed on the now turbulent ocean beneath them. Bai Jian's saint weapon broke through Jian Chen's chaotic body. The sharp end of the sword pierced through his flesh, but it only entered by an inch before coming to a halt, unable to advance any further. Fresh blood flowed from Jian Chen's fist. A drop of it fell into the ocean below and immediately dyed the blue seawater red. It expanded into a radius of 5 kilometers and caused the seawater to be filled with a sliver of pure and powerful energy. Although he had injured Jian Chen, Bai Jian could not become happy at all. He stared at Jian Chen with his eyes bulging, while waves of shock brewed in his heart. How is that possible? My full-powered strike with my saint weapon only caused him some skin-deep wounds. Just what body does he have? It's unbelievably tough. While Bai Jian was stunned, Jian Chen had already pulled back his fist. Ignoring the blood on it, he threw it at Bai Jian again with the sharp whistling of wind. Bai Jian's expression changed slightly and he immediately tried to block the fist with his saint weapon held horizontally. When Jian Chen's fist collided with it, the power of the chaotic body was displayed perfectly. The fist directly knocked Bai Jian backward and he only stabilized after he flew for a dozen or so kilometers. He immediately paled slightly, while his right hand which held the saint weapon constantly trembled. Jian Chen did not follow up, slowly pulling fist back. The wound on his fist was healing at a visible rate and even the blood that had flowed out re-entered the injury, returning to his body. In just a few seconds, the injury had healed completely. It did not even leave behind a scar or mark. If one looked at his fist now, it would be difficult to imagine that he had been injured just before. "Sir, please wait here for a few days. You cannot enter the island right now," Jian Chen said indifferently as he looked at Bai Jian. Bai Jian stared grimly at Jian Chen and growled, "You are indeed very powerful. You have that powerful body, so it's extremely difficult for me to injure you. But if you want to stop me from entering the island, that's impossible. I've only left the holy lands of Mercenary City recently. After a period of comprehension in seclusion, I've grasped the basics of a saint-tier battle skill. Since you want to stop me, I can only show you how powerful the battle skill is." As soon as he heard saint-tier battle skill, Jian Chen became grim. If it was cast with Bai Jian's strength as a 7th heavenly layer saint ruler, it would definitely possess the power to destroy the surroundings. He had no confidence that he could block it successfully. On the other hand, saint-tier battle skills were also the most powerful battle skills on the continent. Jian Chen was also eager to see the power of one very much. For a moment, Jian Chen felt both fear and anticipation toward Bai Jian's saint-tier battle skill. A vast aura radiated from Bai Jian. It enveloped the surroundings with its might, causing the wind and clouds in the sky to change. Vaguely, there was even the muffled rumbling of thunder. Bai Jian had entered the charging up phase for his battle skill. Bai Jian. At this very moment, an illusionary voice echoed through the surroundings. It was filled with a boundless charm, as if it could lure the souls of people away from them. The sudden voice caused Bai Jian to beam. He looked toward the 3 Saint Island over 10 kilometers away and called out, "Heavenly Enchantress, are you fine? I, Bai Jian, have come to visit you." At the same time, Bai Jian stopped his casting of the saint-tier battle skill. "Bai Jian, stay your hand." The heavenly enchantress's voice boomed. No one could tell where the voice came from. Bai Jian looked around in doubt. He became astonished and said, "Heavenly enchantress, I haven't seen you in so many years and your strength has increased once again. I can't feel your presence at all now." "Oh right, heavenly enchantress, who is this person? Why does he stop me from entering the island? Has something happened to the island?" Only after a period of silence did the heavenly enchantress's voice boom out once again. "Bai Jian, leave. 3 Saint Island does not welcome you." With that, Bai Jian began to panic. He said, Heavenly Enchantress, I've journeyed thousands of kilometers to Three Saint Island to see you. Are you just going to reject me at the doorsteps? Soon afterward, Bai Jian seemed to think of Jian Chen. He immediately pointed at Jian Chen and said angrily, Heavenly Enchantress, tell me exactly who he is. Why can he enter the island while I can't? Am I not as good as him to you? Random thoughts began to crop up uncontrollably in Bai Jian's head. Envy and irrationality immediately sprang up in his heart as soon as he thought of the possibility that Jian Chen spent every day on the island interacting with the Heavenly Enchantress. He imagined them being on a close basis and doing some things he had no clues of. Heavenly Enchantress, tell me exactly who this person is. Why have I never heard about his existence from you before? Why has he appeared on Three Saint Island and why is he obstructing my entry to the island? Why are you unwilling to see me? Bai Jian's eyes became bloodshot. As he spoke, he became madder and madder, more and more irrational. In the end, he even believed he had touched on the truth. Bai Jian, you don't need to stick your nose in my matters. What does his identity have anything to do with you? The Heavenly Enchantress's cold voice reverberated once again. Bai Jian began to laugh aloud out of anger. Not for me to care about? Nothing to do with me? All right, Heavenly Enchantress. I won't be leaving exactly because you want me to leave. I swear I will not leave if I don't enter Three Saint Island and see you. Jian Chen's face darkened. If Bai Jian entered the island so emotionally, he would definitely create a very great commotion, disturbing his grandfather's breakthrough. He could not allow something like that to happen. Pass through me first if you want to enter the island. Jian Chen blocked Bai Jian's path. Bai Jian said nothing. He fused with the surrounding space and used spatial force to transform into a blurry afterimage that shot toward Three Saint Island with lightning speed. He instantly passed by Jian Chen. Jian Chen's expression changed greatly. He had never thought that Bai Jian would actually use a method like this to try and enter Three Saint Island. Bai Jian's comprehension of the mysteries of the world completely superseded Jian Chen's. His explosive speed from spatial force completely exceeded Jian Chen's travel speed, preventing Jian Chen from blocking him in time. Although Jian Chen had reached the second layer of the chaotic body which was equivalent to the seventh heavenly layer of Saint Ruler, his comprehension of the mysteries of the world remained at the first heavenly layer. Chapter 852, Saint Tier Battle Skill. Watching Bai Jian fly toward Three Saint Island, Jian Chen began to panic. He cried out, Bai Jian, if you disturb my grandfather's breakthrough, I, Jian Chen, swear that I will pursue you for your life to the end of the world. However, Bai Jian's mind was currently full of matters about the Heavenly Enchantress. Why would he pay any attention to Jian Chen's threats? He continued onward with no decrease in speed. Instead, he sped up even more. Thrum. At this very moment, the gentle sound from a zither resounded through space, sending a visible sound wave at Bai Jian with lightning speed. Heavenly Enchantress, you dare to attack me. Bai Jian became even angrier. He roared out as he poured his surging saint force into his saint weapon. He then directly swung it at the sound wave. With a great rumble, the violent ripples of energy knocked Bai Jian back very far away. This time, he flew for close to 10 kilometers before he came to a halt. Heavenly Enchantress, I didn't think your strength would become so great. Why do you stop me? Why? Why do you do this? Why can he enter the island while I cannot? Tell me why. Bai Jian roared loudly. The envy he experienced became stronger and stronger, almost to the point where he would faint. In Bai Jian's heart, he had already imagined the Heavenly Enchantress as his partner. Even though she had never shown any agreement, he believed that it was only a matter of time before he became a couple with her thanks to his mad pursuit and his father backing him up. Yet now, the Heavenly Enchantress treated an unknown man like this right before him. Bai Jian struggled to accept this, especially because the person was also extremely outstanding, no weaker than himself in strength or appearance. Moreover, the heavenly enchantress just seemed to treat this unknown man extremely closely. Some other thoughts could not help but spring up in Bai Jian's head. Bai Jian, you and I are strangers. Why must I explain so much to you? As the mistress of the island, I have the right to restrict the entry of certain people. Leave. In the future, do not ever return. The heavenly enchantress's cold voice boomed in the sky. It was filled with mercilessness, without signs of any emotions. Strangers. Stranger. You say strangers. Heavenly enchantress, so my place in your heart is only that. Whatever, since you're unwilling, I'll go find my father. I'll go get father to propose the marriage. Bai Jian breathed heavily, about to leave. Sigh. The heavenly enchantress's gentle sigh resounded mid-air. A purple figure appeared on the island shortly afterward. With a single step, the figure traversed over 10 kilometers and appeared before Bai Jian. Bai Jian, you should give up on that thought. Even if you get your father to come, it's useless, said the heavenly enchantress expressionlessly. She was veiled, standing over 100 meters in the sky with the zither of the demonic cry in her hands. Heavenly enchantress, you're finally willing to come out. Joy appeared on Bai Jian's face. He looked toward her in infatuation. Afterward, his expression changed abruptly, staring at her in disbelief. He said with a trembling voice, Heavenly enchantress, you've lost your chastity. Impossible, this is impossible. The heavenly enchantress's expression became downcast. She glanced at Jian Chen nearby and her eyes contained misery and pain. Afterward, she turned around and flew back toward the island. Only a voice with inconspicuous emotion appeared in Bai Jian's head. Bai Jian, you should go. Don't pester me in the future. Bai Jian stood there stunned. He became senseless, he was unable to accept it and unwilling to accept an outcome like this. No. A long while afterward, Bai Jian roared at the sky. His expression was filled with pain. Before, when he still looked like a middle-aged man, he fell in love with the heavenly enchantress at first sight. Afterward, he had used a secret technique to turn into his current appearance, just to have an additional edge when courting the heavenly enchantress. Although he hit many dead ends in these years, he never gave up. He believed that as long as he persevered, he would definitely succeed. Now, all his hopes and fantasies were shattered. The goddess in his eyes, the heavenly enchantress, was no longer a virgin. He found this difficult to accept and it even broke his heart. Bai Jian's eyes were bloodshot. A powerful killing intent radiated from his body and he stared at Jian Chen with hatred and resentment. He ground his teeth. It's you, it must be you. That person must be you. I, Bai Jian, will obliterate you. Bai Jian charged madly at Jian Chen and attacked him wildly. Bai Jian, you struggled to even injure me heavily with your strength. I want to see how you obliterate me, Jian Chen said as he received Bai Jian's attacks. His voice was extremely cold. I want you to die. Bai Jian was like a raging lion right now. With a roar, he immediately pulled back and began to charge up his Saint-Tier battle skill once again. Then show me just the strength of a legendary Saint-Tier battle skill. Bai Jian, I'll give you the chance to cast it, Jian Chen said coldly. A familiar yet frigid voice appeared in Jian Chen's head. The power of a Saint-Tier battle skill is not as you imagine it to be. With Bai Jian's strength as a 7th heavenly layer Saint Ruler, a Saint-Tier battle skill from him can heavily injure a 1st or 2nd heavenly layer Saint King. It is even capable of killing them. What? A Saint-Tier battle skill is this powerful? With that, Jian Chen immediately became shocked. The power of a Saint-Tier battle skill was far beyond anything he had anticipated. Without any hesitation, Jian Chen immediately charged at Bai Jian, who was in the middle of charging up the battle skill. Jian Chen yelled, "Bai Jian, so what if you know a Saint-tier battle skill? I want to see how you're able to cast it." Learning about the power of the battle skill, Jian Chen gave up on his original idea where he wanted to see its power. No matter how confident he was in himself, he did not want to receive a battle skill that could even kill Saint Kings so easily. This was because he knew that even if he did not die after taking it on, he would become heavily injured as a result. It was not worth it at all. Jian Chen arrived before Bai Jian. Without giving him any more time to charge up the battle skill, he directly threw a punch that struck toward Bai Jian's chest with lightning speed. Spurt. Bai Jian vomited a mouthful of blood, immediately flying backward. His charge up for the battle skill was also forcefully disrupted. "I will definitely kill you." Bai Jian was stubborn. He was extremely determined to kill Jian Chen. Forcefully enduring his injuries, he retreated several kilometers with a flash and cast the battle skill once again. It was much faster than last time too. Instantly, gusts of wind appeared and the clouds began to churn in the surroundings. A huge, dark cloud floated over him, flashing with lightning from time to time. The seawater under him flowed in reverse and pushed up blue water spouts to connect the sky and the earth right in between the two of them. Jian Chen became grim. He pulled out the dragon-slaying sword from his space ring and stabbed out 3 times. 3 powerful sword chi shot out, cutting through the obstruction of the sea water with a devastating aura as it directly headed for Bai Jian. As Bai Jian was amidst the charge-up for his Saint-tier battle skill, he was unable to divert his attention and block the 3 sword chi. He could only dodge. He avoided 2 of the sword chi, while the final one shot through his chest and destroyed his heart. Bai Jian produced a groan. His saint weapon was raised high up in his right hand as he grit his teeth and hung on. He had arrived at the final stages. He only needed to hang in there a little longer and the Saint-tier battle skill would be successfully cast. The sky had become gloomy due to the charge-up of the battle skill despite being originally sunny. Murky clouds covered the sky while lightning and thunder flashed and rumbled. Wild wind whistled in the surroundings, while the sea below churned violently. An extremely vast and boundless pressure slowly radiated outward like a primordial beast slowly awakening from its slumber. "I need to disrupt his casting of the battle skill as soon as possible." Jian Chen's eyes became icy cold. He charged at Bai Jian against the wild wind with his sword in hand. Rumble. Suddenly, a great bolt of lightning descended from the sky without any warning, accurately striking Jian Chen. Jian Chen trembled violently. His skin immediately became burnt black. The powerful electricity snaked wildly through his body and caused him to become numb all over. He then lost control of his body. "God damn it, it'll be troublesome now." Jian Chen swore in his heart. His body was now completely frozen and immobilized. He did not even have the power to stay in the air any longer and he directly fell out of the sky toward the boundless sea below. 2 seconds later, Jian Chen finally recovered from the numbness after falling into the sea. He shot out of the water like a cannonball toward Bai Jian. Bai Jian had reached the end of his charge-up for the Saint-tier battle skill now. His 2 hands formed a seal and he bellowed, "Saint-tier battle skill, grand destruction, thrum." Before Bai Jian could finish his words, a gentle note suddenly appeared. It seemed to carry a boundless charm and it was heard clearly by Bai Jian. Bai Jian's eyes immediately became blank. Afterward, he seemed to lose all the power in his body, falling into the ocean just like Jian Chen before. Without Bai Jian guiding it, the battle skill that had basically been charged up also seemed to lose its source of energy. It ran out of power, before slowly dispersing. The zither note had only stunned Bai Jian temporarily, it made unconscious but could not harm his life. Bai Jian woke up very quickly after hitting the water, bursting out of the sea immediately. He looked toward 3 Saint Island angrily and roared in exasperation, Heavenly Enchantress, you actually ruined what I was doing. You're still protecting him, you're still protecting him. Spurt. Toward the end, Bai Jian's anger back-surged. His blood flowed up his body and he sprayed a large mouthful of blood into the air as a mist. He had already become sheet white. Heavenly Enchantress, I will be back. Brat, I don't care who you are, Bai Jian, will obliterate you. Throwing down these vicious threats, Bai Jian quickly moved off into the distance, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The battle skill was disrupted at a crucial moment, so he was struck by an extremely powerful backlash. He was heavily injured and combined with his back-surge of anger and his destroyed heart. He was not in fighting shape, already a spent force. Watching as Bai Jian's figure disappeared into the distance, Jian Chen produced a long sigh. He felt extremely helpless. He never thought that he would somehow offend a great saint ruler because of this, and the saint ruler seemed to be of an extraordinary background. Never would I think that something like this would happen. Fortunately, the Heavenly Enchantress helped me in the crucial moment, otherwise, it would have been troublesome for me, Jian Che murmured softly. The dark clouds disappeared from the sky, recovering its sooniness from before. At this very moment, 5 colored clouds suddenly appeared and enveloped the entire sky. Chapter 853, Departure. The 5 colored clouds radiated with a gentle and magnificent light that flooded the entire sky. It spread out grandly in all directions, enveloping a radius of 100,000 kilometers from the initial 5 kilometers before stopping. The light shone on the surface of the sea and dyed the water rainbow. The entire world seemed to be filled with the 5 colors as if it was a dream. Jian Chen floated in the sky. He stared excitedly at the colorful clouds in the sky and murmured, "He broke through. Grandpa broke through successfully. He has finally overcome the seal in his sea of consciousness and reached Saint Ruler." Afterward, Jian Chen turned into a faint blur, shooting toward 3 Saint Island with lightning speed. He quietly guarded outside the cave to protect his grandfather. At this very moment, a dozen or so figures soared from below 3 Saint Island and they flickered with the light of special attributes. They were the residents of 3 Saint Island who had already reached Heaven Saint Master, and they were clearly alarmed by the appearance of the rainbow clouds in the sky. Other than them, close to 100 figures flickered at the foot of 3 Saint Island. They were Earth Saint Master residents who could not fly, and they all used various techniques to travel through the forests and hurried toward the top of the mountain. Whether it was the Heaven Saint Masters flying in the sky or the Earth Saint Master traversing over land, they all stopped as soon as they approached the mountain peak. Afterward, they all bowed courteously towards the mountain top and said, "This fisherman of the island wishes to see the island mistress and the 2 saintesses. May I ask just what is happening regarding the sudden phenomenon in the sky?" These people all carried expressions of extreme respect. To them, the mistress of the island and her 2 disciples were like gods. They were sacred and inviolable. This was because 1,000 years ago, 3 Saint Island was still an ordinary island. The fishermen inhabitants were normal and ordinary people, with no connection to the Tianyuan continent. They lived lives of solitude and did not know how to cultivate at all. Even if there were experts who passed by from time to time, they would receive no attention at all. However, ever since the Heavenly Enchantress settled here, the lives of the fishermen had changed. Not only did she pass on the method of cultivation, she even directed them and assisted their cultivation. As a result, the residents of the island were freed from their ordinary lives, embarking on the path of obtaining great power as fighters. Meanwhile, the Heavenly Enchantress and her 2 disciples naturally became divine gods to the residents. For this reason, the originally ordinary island was named 3 Saint Island. With a thought, Jian Chen suddenly created a transparent barrier around the top of the mountain as he guarded the cave. He said, "You can leave. Don't worry about the phenomenon in the sky." Jian Chen's voice was not loud, but all the fishermen around the mountain heard it clearly. Hearing this unfamiliar voice, the Heaven Saint Master fishermen all became stunned. Immediately, a brave person asked, "May I ask who Senior is?" "All of you leave. You don't need to pay any attention to the phenomenon in the sky." Xiao Qian's voice appeared from the cave, clearly heard by all the fishermen. "Yes, Saintess." Only after hearing Xiao Qian's familiar voice did the fishermen finally leave. However, each of them were extremely skeptical. Clearly, this was the first time they had ever seen these rainbow clouds in the sky. At the same time, over 20 elders of the Radiant Saint Master Union sat cross-legged in a secret room in the headquarters at Mercenary City. They were casting a secret technique to search for the Saint artifact. In the 4 years since the Saint artifact had been lost, they had worked together to cast the secret technique to scour the continent in search of the artifact's presence from time to time. They would not even miss the ocean. Although they ended in failure every time, they did not show any intentions of giving up. Meanwhile, the news that the artifact was lost had been kept a secret by the Union and the 3 great clans. It had been concealed perfectly. Extremely few people knew about it, but they were all told to stay quiet about it by the 3 great clans. This was because as soon as the Union collapsed, the entire empire would suffer a loss. Suddenly, all 20-odd elders snapped open their eyes at the same time. They all revealed expressions of joy. "We found it. It's in the ocean. We found the precise location of the communication jade on Yang Yutian. I never thought that Yang Yutian would keep the communication jade on him. Fantastic. We haven't found the presence of the artifact, but we found the communication jade instead. The whereabouts of the communication jade will definitely be Yang Yutian's location. We need to go there quickly. Contact Elder Jia immediately. Get him to rip open space and create a space gate to the ocean. He'll come with us. We must reclaim the Saint artifact." The rainbow clouds lasted for 6 whole hours before slowly dispersing. A while later, the surroundings recovered its peace. Ha 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 ha. Shortly afterward, a loud series of laughter resounded from a cave on the mountain peak. Changyang Zhu Yunkong excitedly walked out from it in long, white robes. Breaking through to Saint Ruler, Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's bearings also underwent a great change. Although he was still an old man, his haggardness had disappeared and he seemed normal again. His face had a healthy glow and he was in high spirits. Compared to his sickly appearance from before, he seemed like a completely different person. "I've finally broken through. Finally broken through. Never would I've thought that I, Changyang Zhu Yunkong, would have a day where I reach Saint Ruler," Changyang Zhu Yunkong said excitedly. The joy and emotions he currently experienced had already reached the absolute limit. "Congratulations on reaching Saint Ruler. You don't need to suffer pain like in the past anymore." Xiao Qian and Xiao Yu walked out of the cave with their zither in their hands. They both congratulated Changyang Zhu Yunkong with smiles. "Grandfather, congratulations on your breakthrough." Jian Chen also came up to congratulate his grandfather. He too was filled with joy for saving Changyang Zhu Yunkong's life. "It's all because I have such a great grandson. If it weren't for grandson's dragon saliva, I probably would not have been able to survive for another 30 years. Changyang Zhu Yunkong was emotional and his gaze toward Jian Chen was filled with gratitude. "Grandfather, now that your problem has been temporarily resolved, I wonder what you want to do in the future?" Jian Chen asked. When Jian Chen mentioned this, Changyang Zhu Yunkong gradually calmed down. After a period of silence, he said, "So many years have passed and I don't even know how well the Changyang clan is doing now. I left the clan previously in search of a method to break through. Now that I have broken through, it's about time for me to return." Xiao Qian said on one side. Changyang Zhu Yunkong, "Master said your talent is rather great. When you were just a 6th cycle Heaven Saint Master, it was enough for the laws of the world to descend by themselves. In the future, you will definitely improve extremely quickly in your cultivation. But you must keep in mind that the seal in your mind has only been temporarily suppressed. It has not been resolved completely, so you must not power up too quickly. Otherwise, you will only be faced with a similar pain in the future. Changyang Zhu Yunkong nodded prudently, showing that he had understood. He clasped his hands at Xiao Qian and Xiao Yu. I thank you for looking after me for all these years. I wonder where the island mistress is. I would like to see her and personally thank her for saving my life. No need to do that. Our mistress is currently in seclusion. It's best if you don't disturb her for something like that, Xiao Yu said. Fair enough. But I will always remember the mistress's kindness for saving me forever. If there is the chance in the future, I will definitely return it several times over. Changyang Zhu Yunkong said with determination. After that, he looked toward Jian Chen and said, Grandson, grandfather misses the Changyang clan. I want to return immediately. You should come with grandfather. No grandfather, I still have important matters to attend to. I won't be going back to the continent with you, Jian Chen said hurriedly. He did not dare to return to the continent as of right now. That's fine. Since you have things to attend to, I'll be returning first, Changyang Zhu Yunkong said, before bidding farewell to the group. He left all by himself. He had already spent too much time away from the Changyang clan. He missed the people there very much, so he left in haste as soon as he recovered. With Changyang Zhu Yunkong's matter resolved, Jian Chen no longer needed to stay on the island. He also bid farewell to Xiao Qian and Xiao Yu. Ladies, I still have matters to attend to, so I can't stay on the island for too long. I shall be leaving. After conversing with Xiao Qian and Xiao Yu some more, Jian Chen found where the heavenly enchantress had gone into seclusion with his powerful presence. He directly flew over there. The heavenly enchantress went into seclusion in one of the caves at the back of the mountain. Currently, the cave was tightly closed, blocked up by a huge rock door. Standing before the door, Jian Chen became slightly mixed with emotions. After some hesitation, he pulled out a large pile of dragon saliva from his space ring and placed it gently on the ground. I know this dragon saliva is very helpful to you. You need it more than me. I'll only keep 10 of them from all of the ones obtained from Fantasy Star Ocean. I'll give the rest to you. After he placed down the dragon saliva, Jian Chen left silently. He flew toward the faraway distance, but from the very start till the end, the heavenly enchantress never appeared. She did not even say anything. Jian Chen flew off the island with mixed emotions. Afterward, he expanded his powerful presence, immediately enveloping a radius of 5,000 kilometers, finally finding Nubis, who was 1,000 kilometers under the ocean. Nubis immediately shot through the ocean and arrived in the sky above the region where he had gone into seclusion. He immediately began to radiate with a powerful aura which spread outward in all directions. It immediately caused the calm ocean surface below him to turn stormy. Bang! Suddenly, the sea surface beneath him exploded. A figure radiating with a powerful golden light shot out from the sea, accompanied by a powerfully vast and boundless presence. Ha 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 ha, kiddo Jian Chen. You've finally come out. If you didn't come out, I, the great Nubis, would have gone into the Fantasy Star Ocean in search of you. Chapter 854, Arrival of the Union. Ha 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 ha, kiddo Jian Chen. You've finally come out. If you didn't come out, I, the great Nubis, would have gone into the Fantasy Star Ocean in search of you. The golden light around Nubis was dazzling, radiating far and wide like a sun. The surrounding space trembled greatly due to the vast and boundless energy emitted from his body. Jian Chen stared at the shining Nubis in interest and laughed softly. Nubis, looks like you've reaped quite the harvest from secluded cultivation in the past few years. I can feel that your strength has completely exceeded the 7th heavenly layer. The light around Nubis slowly faded and revealed the figure beneath. Perhaps it was due to his great increase in strength, but the golden robes on Nubis seemed even shinier. It vaguely seemed to be covered by a golden glow. Nubis's face was filled with joy. He traversed several hundred meters in a single step and arrived before Jian Chen and directly threw a punch at his shoulder. Nubis laughed. Jian Chen, I never thought that just from a mere trip to the Fantasy Star Ocean, you'll come back without your purity. TSK, looks like the harvest you reaped from the journey is quite great too. Tell me honestly, did you hook up with that demoness? As a beast of antiquity, Nubis's senses were much more powerful compared to humans. He could tell with a single glance. Jian Chen purposefully avoided this question and said, Nubis, let's not talk about this. Let's talk about you instead. How is it? You must have improved greatly with a few years of secluded cultivation. Of course. Nubis was excited. I've absorbed around 70% of the hidden essence in that old snake. That hidden essence contained the old snake's comprehension of the mysteries of the world. I've fused with them completely, turning it into my own power. Right now, I'm a peak class 7 magical beast. In the words of you humans, I'm equivalent to a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler. I'll be able to break through to class 8 in one go if you give me some more time and I absorb the remaining hidden essence from that old snake. When he heard this, Jian Chen jumped in shock even though he had mentally prepared himself beforehand. Nubis had increased his strength from the 3rd heavenly layer to the 9th heavenly layer in 4 short years. This speed of improvement was so great that it even made him tongue-tied. His improvements in this time paled in comparison to Nubis. Jian Chen, I can feel that you've grown much stronger too. Looks like you've gotten your hands on quite some stuff from this trip to the Fantasy Star Ocean. Nubis stared at Jian Chen deeply and sniggered. Alright, let's not talk about this for now. Nubis, we've stayed here for quite a long time already. The people on the Tian Yuan continent should be expanding their search into the ocean soon. We should leave here quickly. The earlier we get to the location of the sea race, the earlier we get to safety, Jian Chen said. Alright, let's go to where the sea race is first. If that other powerful old snake on the beast god continent calls on a great group of people to deal with me, I, the great Nubis, will be in danger. As soon as he finished speaking, Nubis's face froze. A light immediately exploded from his eyes and he glared up ahead. The space where Nubis was looking at began to distort violently before it was ripped open. A space gate suddenly appeared and an old man in simple clothes stepped out. The moment Jian Chen saw this old man, his gaze froze. He was not unfamiliar with him. It was the old man he had first seen wiping the tables in the Radiant Saint Tower. Behind the old man, figures constantly stepped out. First, there were fighters in various attires, a total of 8 saint rulers. Only afterward did a group of white-robed Radiant Saint Masters appear, totaling at over 20 people. All of them bore a shiny purple badge on their chests. They were actually all Class 7 Radiant Saint Masters and among them was the president of the Radiant Saint Master Union and the Great Elder. Only after great difficulty had the Union found Jian Chen's whereabouts. In order to retrieve the Saint artifact successfully, they had basically come with their full force. Yang Yutian, I've finally found you. An old voice boomed from the group. A white-robed old man walked out at this time. He was the president of the Union. Compared to a few years ago, the president seemed much older. His face was filled with wrinkles while his expression was haggard. In these years, the matter about the Saint artifact had tortured him quite some bit. The president looked toward Jian Chen with extremely mixed emotions. His heart was filled with bitterness. Once upon a time, he had accepted Jian Chen as his disciple without the slightest hesitation after he found out about his talent. He even planned to choose a successor for the union between him and Yun Tian. In the days that followed, Jian Chen's behavior only became more outstanding. He grasped the forbidden Arte God's descent with his power as a Class 6 Radiant Saint Master and slaughtered over 30 Heaven Saint Masters all by himself on Fragrance River. It shook him greatly, and at the same time, it consolidated his idea of raising Jian Chen to be the future successor of the Union. He had even begun to view his other disciple, Yun Tian, as a chess piece to temper Jian Chen. He was filled with hopes toward Jian Chen. However, he never thought that the Jian Chen he had placed high hopes on possessed another identity. Not just that, he even took away the saint artifact of the Union, almost causing the entire Union to come crashing down, falling into a state beyond recovery. This pained him to the extreme. Right now, he saw his disciple who had bore his high hopes once again. The president's heart experienced both love and hatred. He loved Jian Chen's unprecedented talent and hated Jian Chen's following actions, as well as the fact that he had almost brought the Union to utter damnation. Yang Yutian. Jian Chen. Changyang Xiangtian. I don't know how I should refer to you. The president sighed gently. His face was filled with exhaustion. President, it's best if you call me Jian Chen said. All right, I'll call you Jian Chen. Jian Chen, is the saint artifact on you? The president asked. After some deliberation, Jian Chen replied, President, the saint artifact is indeed on me, but I can't give it to you right now. Yang Yutian, the saint artifact belongs to the Union. You actually tried to take it for yourself. So much for the Union treating you the way we did in the past, for you to do something like this. We really have been treating you too nicely. The ninth elder could not help but curse. Jian Chen, the saint artifact is extremely important to the Union. Think about how we once treated you. You really should return it to us, said the Grand Elder. His voice carried the trace of pleading. Grand Elder, President, it's not that I don't want to return the artifact, but the artifact has a spirit and it's already taken me as its master. What? The artifact has taken you as its master? How is that possible? The president paled from shock. He clearly knew about the artifact spirit's existence. A golden light shot from the center of Jian Chen's eyebrows, landing directly in the middle of his palm. It formed a golden, palm-sized tower. When they saw the golden tower, skepticism appeared in the eyes of the group. Although the artifact had been with the Union for countless years, there were not many people who had seen its true form. None among them had seen it. Even the president was no exception. Artifact spirit, explain it to the president yourself, Jian Chen said to the artifact spirit. The artifact spirit abided to Jian Chen's words, immediately communicating with the president through a sliver of a thought. The president's expression immediately became courteous. As the president of the Union, he knew extremely clearly just what the artifact spirit was. It was equivalent to a saint emperor, even though that was only the case in the artifact space, it still carried a great force of deterrence. A while later, the president's courteous expression disappeared. He sighed at the sky while his face was filled with helplessness. Afterward, his gaze toward Jian Chen became even more complicated, with deep shock sandwiched in between. Grand Elder, President, I know exactly how important the artifact is to the Union. Without it, the Union will not have any more origin energy. But I can help you solve that problem. Jian Chen pulled out a purple medallion from his space ring and continued, Grand Elder, this was the medallion you gave me all those years ago. I've stored several dozen strands of the origin energy of Radiant Saint Force within it. It should be able to deal with the imminent problems the Union faces. As he spoke, Jian Chen tossed out the purple medallion. It stopped before the Grand Elder and he took it up and sensed it. A sliver of joy immediately sprang up on his face and he said, there really are several dozen strands of origin energy inside. With that, slivers of joy appeared on the faces of the elders too. Jian Chen continued, I know this won't work out in the long term. There will be a day where the origin energy will be consumed entirely, but 50 years in the future, I will fill up the purple medallion again. During this period of wait, I hope you can collect some more objects that can store origin energy. Jian Chen, since the saint artifact has already taken you as its master, you should go. My union will not be troubling you, though I hope in 50 years' time, you will do as you have promised and replenish the union's supply of origin energy, sighed the president. Since the artifact had already accepted him as its master, this was the president's only choice. If the artifact had not done that, they could still restrict Jian Chen's actions and search through his space ring for it. But now, this was impossible. Once the artifact took a master, they could only kill Jian Chen to get it back. However, they did not have the courage to do that at all. This was because if they killed Jian Chen, it was equivalent to the Union completely offending the Changyang clan and the Pure Heart Pavilion of the 10 Protector clans, as well as the Arctic Ice God Hall that even the Protector clans feared very much. Chapter 855, Whereabouts exposed. Reaching an agreement with the people of the Radiant Saint Master Union, they felt right afterward. They did not mention any excessive requests, unwilling to offend Jian Chen too much. With the departure of the Union, Jian Chen and Nubis also left and traveled toward the territory of the sea race. Toward the back of 3 Saint Mountain, a heavy stone door slowly rose up, revealing a pitch-black cave. With a series of gentle footsteps, the purple-dressed heavenly enchantress emerged slowly with her zither in her hands. When she arrived at the entrance of the cave, the heavenly enchantress stared distractedly at the several dozen stalks of dragon saliva on the ground silently. Her eyes were mixed with emotions. These grasses were all obtained by Jian Chen through his relationship with the golden divine dragon Rui Jin. Every single stalk approached 1,000,000 years in age. On the Tian Yuan continent, they were priceless treasures. Jian Chen had actually only kept 10 of them for himself and gave the rest to her. It moved the heavenly enchantress deeply once again. A while later, she seemed to return to her senses. The zither of the demonic cry disappeared from her hands and she slowly squatted down. She extended her white, elegant hand to carefully collect the grasses off the ground. Afterward, she entered the cave once again. A dozen or so fist-sized luminous pearls were lodged into the ceiling of the cave, shining with gentle light. The heavenly enchantress sat with her legs crossed on a huge jade rock, her expression dejected. Meanwhile, she could not help but think back to all the things that had happened in the Fantasy Star Ocean, as well as everything she had experienced in the space formed by the Yinyang Saint Rock. She also thought back to the words of the great human expert, Mo Tianyun. Jian Chen, you may have taken my body but you saved my life at the same time. Should I be hating you? The heavenly enchantress muttered softly. She seemed rather despondent. Since she was too emotional when she had just woke up, she did some reckless things. She wanted to kill Jian Chen as an outlet for her hatred. But afterward, when she slowly calmed down, she also thought through it gradually. Jian Chen had no other choice when he did it as well. If he did not do that, both of them would have died there, never to be able to see the outside sun ever again. Additionally, she had gained great benefits despite losing the most precious object a woman had. Her strength skyrocketed after absorbing the energies from the balancing of yin and yang and the thin supreme yin qi on the surface of the rock. She had reached a level of strength that even she herself found incredible. At noon on the next day, a space gate suddenly appeared above 3 Saint Island. An ordinary-looking, middle-aged man stepped out of it with Bai Jian, who seemed much more aged. The man's gaze was cold, without the slightest emotion. His face was filled with a condescending air, as if there were extremely few things in the world that he would actually not look down upon. Bai Jian stood beside him and yelled toward 3 Saint Island, "Heavenly Enchantress, come out. My father has personally come this time. Is this how you are going to treat your guests? Senior Bai Yifei has come personally. I have failed to welcome from afar, so please forgive me. However, I am currently in the middle of secluded cultivation. I am unable to receive guests personally, so please forgive me, Senior Bai Yifei." Xiao Qian, Xiao Ke, receive Senior Bai Yifei instead of me please. The heavenly enchantress's voice boomed in the sky, but the origins of it could not be found from the sound alone. The voice seemed to carry a great charm, able to bewitch people. As soon as Bai Jian heard it, a sliver of bewilderment appeared on his face. He had almost lost his composure. A gleam of light immediately flashed across Bai Yifei's eyes. He said in surprise, "Heavenly Enchantress, I didn't think your strength would increase so quickly. You've actually broken through from Saint Ruler to Saint King." "What? Dad, what did you say? The Heavenly Enchantress is a Saint King now?" Bai Jian looked at his father in disbelief. He was astounded. "Correct," Bai Yifei said gruffly. Even he struggled to believe the speed at which the Heavenly Enchantress was improving. "Impossible. When we met in the Holy Land of Mercenary City a few years ago, her strength was the same as me, a 6th heavenly layer Saint Ruler. How could she reach Saint King from the 6th heavenly layer in just a few short years? That's impossible." Bai Jian was filled with incredulity. Xiao Qian and Xiao Yu flew up from 3 Saint Island. As soon as they heard their master had already reached Saint King, they were overjoyed. Afterward, they invited the 2 guests onto the island with an extremely courteous tone. Bai Jian and Bai Yifei remained in the sky without moving. Bai Yifei said, "Where is that person who injured my son? Are you speaking about Master Jianchen?" "Master Jianchen left long ago. We too do not know where he has gone." Xiao Qian got straight to the point. "What did you say? Jianchen?" Hearing this name, Bai Yifei's expression changed instantly. They immediately began to shine with interest, changing from the indifference of before. He pulled out a drawing from his space ring and said, "Look at this carefully. Is this the Jianchen you're talking about?" Xiao Qian and Xiao Yu accepted the drawing and looked at it together with doubt. Afterward, they nodded simultaneously and Xiao Qian said, "Correct, he's Master Jianchen." "Senior Bai Yifei, why would you have a drawing of Master Jianchen?" Xiao Qian's voice was filled with curiosity. "You don't need to worry about that. Tell me honestly, just where is Jianchen?" Bai Yifei was stern. "We really don't know." Xiao Qian and Xiao Yu were both clueless. Seeing how Xiao Qian and Xiao Yu did not seem to be lying, Bai Yifei did not trouble them any further. He said gruffly, "Bai Jian, let's go." With that, Bai Yifei turned around and immediately set up a space gate. Without saying anything else, he disappeared into the space gate as he pulled Bai Jian with him. Distance was not a problem to Supreme Saint Kings. They only needed a single step to traverse millions or even tens of million kilometers. Bai Yifei ripped open another 2 space gate one after another to return to the continent. Afterward, he immediately met up with his good friends that were extremely close to him, reporting to them about Jianchen appearing in the ocean. His good friend was a great elder from the Yuan sect of the 10 great clans. He was a Saint King too, and when he heard this news, he was immediately astounded. "Bai Yifei, are you serious? Jianchen's really appeared in the ocean?" The great elder became excited. "I'm absolutely certain. I've already gotten authentication for it and he's even injured my son," Bai Yifei said confidently. "Correct. The person who injured me is indeed in the drawing. He looks exactly the same. He must be Jianchen." Bai Jian also saw the drawing of Jianchen and swore solemnly. "Fantastic. I'll go contact the other great elders right now. We'll pursue him in the ocean immediately," said the great elder just as he was leaving. "Wait." Bai Yifei stopped the great elder. "Ling Yuanzi, even just one of us can deal with Jianchen easily. There's no need to mobilize everyone. Also, if the great elders of your Yuan sect all move out at the same time, it will probably raise some suspicion among the other protector clans. At that time, it'll be hard to know who the winged tiger god will end up with. The most important thing is that Jian Chen has already left 3 Saint Island. I myself have no idea exactly where he's gone. If you take too much time, he'll run quite far away. The difficulty of the search will increase too. If it weren't for the fact that I did not know a long-range searching technique and could not find Jian Chen, I would have grabbed him long ago and delivered him to your Yuan sect. Brother Baifei is right. My Yuan sect owes you a great favor for this time. We can't drag this out. Let's move out right now. The great elder Ling Yuanzi and the father-son duo immediately slashed open the space around them and headed toward the ocean. Jian Chen and Nubis currently hurried along through the use of spatial force high up in the blue sky above the ocean. They formed vague blurs, directly traveling in the direction of the sea race's territory. According to my inherited memories, the sea race should not be far from us. There should just be another few thousand kilometers, Nubis communicated through a mental message. Nubis, we already have some rough understandings of the strength of the sea race. They're much more powerful than the Tian Yuan continent. We need to be careful when we get there. We must not cause too great of a commotion or it'll be very difficult for us to survive. Jian Chen lectured sternly. I know. You don't need to tell me this. As outsiders, we'll face the rejection from the native sea race for sure. If we deal with it badly, we might even become public enemies of them, hunted down by the entire sea race. Nubis also understood the good and bad. It was the first time he had seemed so careful. At this very moment, Jian Chen's complexion changed suddenly. With his much more powerful presence, he could clearly feel an extremely obscure ripple rush past the two of them. Oh no, some experts have discovered us. If it's not by Jian's father, then it's the experts from the continent. We need to increase our speed immediately, Jian Chen said seriously. With that, Nubis's complexion changed too. He swore. This must be because of the Union reporting to the 10 protector clans. Those bastards, they want to use the 10 clans to eliminate you and retrieve their saint artifact. Jian Chen, your comprehension of the mysteries of the world is too low. I'll carry you and run. Nubis grabbed Jian Chen's hand and his strength as a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler exploded without holding back at all. He pushed the mysteries of space to the limit and disappeared into the horizon like he was teleporting. Nubis was extremely fast, but he was still not faster than Saint Kings in the end. The space before them began to distort violently and a space gate formed quickly. Immediately, a vast and boundless aura radiated from inside. This aura compressed space, causing the surrounding area to become viscous. Both Jian Chen and Nubis immediately felt like they had become submerged in mud. There was great resistance to their movements. Jian Chen, I want to see where will you run this time. An old voice boomed. The great elder of the Yuan sect, Ling Yuanzi, and the father-son duo walked out and blocked their path. Chapter 856, God descends again. The light in Nubis's eyes flickered violently. He quickly flashed past Baifei and the great elder of the Yuan sect, while his face bore a sternness he had never shown before. He growled, 2 Saint Kings. Kiddo Jian Chen, we're screwed this time. We can't flee. Jian Chen's complexion also became extremely ugly. The dragon-slaying sword appeared in his hand immediately and his presence underwent an overwhelming change. He radiated with a soaring presence as if he was a drawn sword, already ready for a fight to the death. Even though he clearly knew he was not the opponent for 2 Saint Kings, Jian Chen did not stand down. Baifei looked at Jian Chen with a sneer and said with disdain, Jian Chen, with your mere strength as a saint ruler, you still want to fight with us? You overestimate yourself. Jian Chen, I am a great elder of the Yuan sect, Ling Yuanzi. I do not want to harm you. All I hope for is that you can hand over the winged tiger god. As soon as I receive it, I will leave immediately and not cause you any trouble. Ling Yuanzi spoke up too, hoping to convince Jian Chen to hand over the winged tiger god. Currently, Jian Chen was extremely special. Even Ling Yuanzi himself did not want to offend Jian Chen unless he had to. Even when ignoring the fact that he was a member of the Protector Changyang clan, he also had a connection with the Pure Heart Pavilion, and most importantly, his sister was actually the Holy Maiden of the Arctic Ice Goddess Hall. They were a force that the Yuan sect was extremely fearful of. The Ice Goddess Hall had existed for an extremely long time. Even in the age where the four supreme champions who had surpassed Saint Emperor appeared, no one knew just how long the Ice Goddess Hall had existed. It was an extremely powerful force that even made the clans fearful in the ancient times. Even though they had never interfered with the matters of the continent, their presence still functioned as an extremely great deterrent. "It'll be impossible if you want me to hand over the winged tiger god," Jian Chen said coldly. He did not leave any grounds for negotiations. Ling Yuanzi's face darkened. "I've already given you a chance. If you still want to be so stubborn, I can only offend you." Ling Yuanzi cut to the chase and immediately moved against Jian Chen. The winged tiger god was extremely important, connecting directly with the fate of the Tian Yuan continent. He could not spare this even if he had to offend the Arctic Ice Goddess Hall. Ling Yuanzi grabbed at the air. With Ling Yuanzi's powerful control over space as a Saint King, Jian Chen's surroundings froze immediately and turned into something like extremely tough ice. It even began to produce crunching sounds. Jian Chen and newbies were both affected, immediately trapped there and immobilized. Ling Yuanzi was very confident in his own strength. He did not believe that two mere saint rulers could break free from his imprisonment of space, even if one of them was a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler. "The winged tiger god is not on you. You must have found a spatial artifact that can store living organisms. The winged tiger god must be hiding in there. If that's the case, allow me to look through your space ring," Ling Yuanzi said. At this very moment, an aura of destruction exploded from Jian Chen. Surging chaotic force caused the space around him to tremble. He had actually broken free from Ling Yuanzi's frozen space. "How is this possible? You've broken through my locked space with your strength. What is this power?" Ling Yuanzi became astounded and stared at the chaotic force that surrounded Jian Chen's body in shock. He could feel weirdness and power from the chaotic force. It was a great force he had never seen before. Jian Chen did not give Ling Yuanzi any time to react. The dragon-slaying sword shone brightly with a hazy light, stabbing toward Ling Yuanzi with lightning speed. The sword carried a devastating aura that quickly cut along the short distance. "You dare to confine me, the great newbies? So what if you're a Saint King? Allow me to witness the strength of a human Saint King today." Newbies also recovered his ability to move. He immediately cried out, throwing a fist that radiated with a blinding, golden light toward Ling Yuanzi. Ling Yuanzi was still a Saint King after all. He may have found it extremely unexpected for two weaker people to break free of his frozen space, but he did not become panic-stricken. With a wave of his hand, vast saint force surged from his body and instantly formed a wide shield before him. As Jian Chen's sword and Nubiz's fist collided with this shield, a great rumble was immediately produced. Violent ripples of energy and terrifying winds swept through the surroundings, wreaking havoc, causing space to distort and the seas to surge. Although Jian Chen's chaotic force was very special, it was still not very pure in the end. It was only equivalent to a 7th heavenly layer saint ruler. When both of their attacks struck Ling Yuanzi's shield, it did not even budge, solidly receiving the attacks that were nearly their full power. Bloody hell, the disparity between Saint Ruler and Saint King is just too great. I can only handle 1st heavenly layer Saint Kings at most with my strength as a 9th heavenly layer Saint Ruler. That old man's beyond the 1st heavenly layer. I can't do anything to him. Nubi sent a mental message to Jian Chen, while the two of them were sent flying backward from the energy ripples. This Ling Yuanzi's strength is too great. We can't harm it at all even when we work together. Leave quickly. We need to reach the sea race as fast as we can. Foreign Saint Kings won't be able to enter their protective barrier, Jian Chen replied to newbies. I'll take you as I flee. That way, my speed will be much greater. Newbies did not hesitate at all. Without becoming wrapped up in the battle, he pulled Jian Chen as he used spatial force to flee into the distance. He traversed several dozen kilometers in the blink of an eye. Want to flee? Do you really think it'll be that easy? Bai Yifei sneered. He fused with the surrounding space and immediately disappeared with a step. When he reappeared, he had already covered several dozen kilometers, appearing before Jian Chen and newbies. He blocked their path. If I let the two of you escape under my watch, what dignity would I still have left as a Saint King? Stay put. A cold light flickered in Bai Yifei's eyes. With a direct push of his palm, vast world force condensed turbulently and formed an invisible, enraged dragon that rushed at the two of them. The pair felt like they were struck viciously in the chest by a great mace. Even with their powerful bodies, they were unable to resist it. A mouthful of blood immediately spurted from Nubi's mouth. He paled, already heavily injured. Meanwhile, Jian Chen was slightly better off due to the protection of his golden silk mail. However, it was still painful for him. His organs were shaken up violently and blood surged about. Both of them were sent flying far away. They only regained their stability after traveling over 10 kilometers. Jian Chen, we can't escape. What do we do? Nubi's complexion was downcast. Jian Chen said nothing while a light flickered about in his eyes. After a short moment, he gritted his teeth and cried out, Saint Kings really are powerful. Even when Nubis and I work together, we struggle to resist a single strike from you, but you are not invincible. Today, I, Jian Chen, will use my strength as a 7th heavenly layer saint ruler to heavily injure you two great Saint Kings or even directly slaughter the two of you. Ha ha ha, Jian Chen, you're a conceited, arrogant guy. I want to see how you can heavily injure two great Saint Kings with your strength as a 7th heavenly layer saint ruler. Bai Jian seemed to have heard the most hilarious joke in the world. He could not help but chuckle aloud, while his gaze toward Jian Chen was filled with disdain. A smile of disdain also curled up on Ling Yuanzi's face. Jian Chen, since you're so confident, then allow me to witness just what trump card you have to boast like this. Just what ability or technique do you have to threaten a 5th heavenly layer Saint King? Bai Yifei also smiled in disdain. His gaze toward Jian Chen was as if he was looking at a joke. Even if a 7th heavenly layer saint ruler cast a saint tier battle skill, all they could do was threaten Saint Kings of the 1st or 2nd heavenly layer. Both he and Ling Yuanzi were in the 5th heavenly layer. They could look down on 7th heavenly layer saint rulers completely. They were as weak as ants in their eyes. Determination appeared in Jian Chen's eyes. Without saying a word, he had already returned the dragon-slaying sword to his space ring. His two hands formed a seal before him and a strand of radiant Saint Force origin energy immediately dispersed from his sea of consciousness. It formed an invisible energy that pervaded the surroundings as if they had fused. Jian Chen slowly closed his eyes as he maintained the weird seal with his hands. He raised his head up high, directing the center of his eyebrows at the sky. Suddenly, the light in the surroundings became brighter. The blue sky was enveloped by a layer of clouds with unknown origins. The clouds were snow-white and radiated with a dim light. It dyed the world snow-white, even the blue sea was dyed completely. I offer 500 years of my life to cast the forbidden arte. Gods. Descent, Jian Chen murmured with his eyes closed. He immediately felt the vitality in his body leak away quickly, combining with the arte that was charging up. Even Jian Chen found it a little hard to endure losing 500 years of vitality in one go. He immediately felt like he was out of power and extremely weak. The arte that was charging in the sky began to take shape quickly after Jian Chen infused 500 years of his life into it. The white clouds that enveloped the surrounding space glowed brightly, radiating with a blinding light. It completely outshone the sun and caused the entire world to be enveloped in a snow-white dye. At that very moment, that white light seemed to be the only thing in the world. Crap, he's casting the forbidden arte of Radiant Saint Masters, God's Descent. God damn it, how did I forget that Jian Chen was a Radiant Saint Master too? Ling Yuanzi paled in fright. He had finally become serious. This Jian Chen is actually a Class 7 Radiant Saint Master. The rumors say that Class 7 Radiant Saint Masters casting the God's Descent is enough to threaten Sant Kings, and he's even used 500 years of his life. This God's Descent will definitely be terrifyingly powerful. We can't let him cast it successfully. Interrupt it right now. Bai Fei's previous calmness and confidence had also disappeared. His tone became rather hurried and he simultaneously attacked Jian Chen together with Ling Yuanzi. They hoped to interrupt the arte in its charging up phase. Chapter 857, Heavily Injuring Two Saint Kings God's Descent. At this very moment, these two words were slowly pronounced by Jian Chen. His voice seemed to be filled with infinite mysteries, reverberating with the world. This plain voice directly pierced the 9 heavens and beyond. A visible ripple quickly expanded in all directions with Jian Chen as the center. Wherever it passed by, space would freeze instantly. Even the two great Saint Kings, Bai Fei and Ling Yuanzi, were immobilized. Other than them, Nubis and Bai Jian were affected too. They also became locked up in the frozen space and unable to move. At that very moment, everything became silent. Air stopped moving, time stopped flowing, even the surging seas beneath them became extremely quiet. The white light in the sky shone brighter and brighter, becoming more and more blinding. A vast pressure from the surroundings appeared, as if it originated from the 9 heavens. The pressure seemed to be from a god, descending from the sky with a lofty aura. It deeply shocked the two Saint Kings. Arg! 2 long howls enveloped the surroundings. Bai Fei and Ling Yuanzi had actually used their powerful bodies to forcefully break free from the restraints. They did not hold back at all, rushing at Jian Chen with soaring auras. They wanted to interrupt his arte. At this very moment, a great pillar of white light descended from the skies. It completely enveloped a radius of 50 kilometers, and the laws of the world in that region began to immediately distort violently. In that very moment, the region encased by the pillar of light seemed to become its own, independent world. The expressions of both Bai Fei and Ling Yuanzi greatly changed. They felt that they had completely lost their powers as Saint Kings. Their control over the mysteries of space and world force seemed to have vaporized completely in this moment. They could not feel it at all. Other than that, they became restrained once again. This time, the restraint was not space but an indescribable, weird energy, as if it was the power of laws completely unfamiliar to them. Jian Chen closed his eyes and maintained the hand seal, floating in midair just like before. At that very moment, his soul stretched toward infinity and completely fused with the space enveloped by the white pillar of light. A wondrous feeling rose from the bottom of his heart as if he had already become God, a prominent, omnipotent God, able to control all life within this region of space. He was the absolute ruler of this world. Boom! With a violent rumble, Bai Fei and Ling Yuanzi broke free from the restraints of the laws with their powerful strengths once again. Surrounded by powerful and tremendous saint force, they struck out viciously at Jian Chen with their palms. Jian Chen slowly opened his eyes. Right now, he could clearly feel his greatness as if he had really fused with a god. It made him feel that the 2 fifth heavenly layer Saint Kings were not necessarily undefeatable. Jian Chen slowly raised his right hand and pushed forward gently. A white, visible ripple shook the space as it expanded in the direction of Bai Yifei and Ling Yuanzi. This strike was not from chaotic force. It was not from any power he controlled but the special powers of the laws in the domain. The powers of the laws collided with Bai Yifei and Ling Yuanzi's hands and immediately produced a violent rumble. Their expressions changed suddenly and they shot backward with lightning speed. On their palms, a blood-red mark had already appeared. They were injured by the power of the laws. Jian Chen coldly stared at the two of them. He felt like he had really fused with a god and gained a terrifyingly powerful strength. He now controlled everything. He extended a finger at the two of them and murmured gently, "Annihilate." With a single word, Bai Yifei and Ling Yuanzi's clothes immediately turned to dust. Cracks also appeared on their skin and they bled out with bright red blood. They seemed like cracking pottery. Both of them were greatly shocked. They did not hold back at all and with a violent roar, vast saint force poured from their bodies. A robust energy barrier blocked the destruction from the power of the laws. Right now, they had each entered their own domain. Without their abilities as saint kings, all they could use was the saint force that they had not touched for a long time. This god's descent is too terrifying. If it were first or second heavenly layer saint kings who ended up in this place, they would definitely be doomed. Bai Yifei, let's attack Jian Chen with our full strength. He can't last for long. Ling Yuanzi growled. Shortly afterward, a palm-width curved blade appeared in his hand and he directly attacked Jian Chen with it. He had already used his saint weapon. Bai Yifei brandished his saint weapon at the same time. His strength as a fifth heavenly layer saint kings burst out without any restraint, shooting toward Jian Chen as a lightning bolt. Jian Chen remained expressionless. All he did was extend a finger and immediately, inexhaustible light quickly condensed around it. It was all the power of the laws. Jian Chen pointed gently twice. Two specks of white light immediately shot toward the pair with lightning speed. These lights were completely formed from the power of the laws. The white specks of light directly passed through their saint weapons, breaking through their defenses formed from radiant saint force to directly strike their bodies. It passed through both of them and left behind two bloody, thumb-sized holes that spurted with blood. Injured by the power of the laws, their injuries were definitely not as light as it seemed. They immediately vomited a mouthful of blood and became sheet white. Crap, that attack is illusionary yet corporeal. It's impossible to guard against. This arte is just too terrifying, Bai Yifei cried out. He had already become a mess, no longer bearing the demeanor from before. At this very moment, another two specks of power of the laws shot from Jian Chen's hand, directly traveling toward the center of their eyebrows. Their expressions changed greatly. The center of the eyebrows was where the origin soul resided. It was the most important part. If they suffered any injuries there, they would suffer an unendurable blow as well. Bai Yifei and Ling Yuanzi's foreheads were instantly wet with cold sweat. They pushed all their strength into fleeing, but at that crucial moment, they became immobilized by the invisible power of the laws once again. Spurt. The power of the laws broke through their external defenses and struck the center of their eyebrows accurately. Afterward, it broke out from the back of their heads and punched a hole through their brains. Arg! The two of them immediately produced chilling cries. Clutching their heads tightly with their hands, their faces were filled with pain. The origin souls of Saint Kings were extremely powerful. Wiping them out was not very easy. The power of the laws had pierced through the center of their eyebrows and heavily injured their origin souls, but it did not wipe them out. The injury to their origin souls caused them overwhelming pain. Without their control, the saint force that guarded their bodies slowly dispersed. Without the saint force, the power of the laws that seemed to be able to annihilate everything appeared once again. It wreaked havoc on their bodies mercilessly and caused every part of them to crack constantly. It covered them with blood. If they were not powerful saint kings and instead saint rulers, they would not be able to resist this terrifying destructive power at all. They would instantly turn into dust and be destroyed. It would be impossible for them to last this long. The surface of Bai Yifei and Ling Yuanzi's bodies had cracked completely. Their flesh turned into streaks of dust, currently being eaten away bit by bit. Arg! Jian Chen, I will break your god's descent. Saint Tier battle skill, sky upholding finger. Ling Yuanzi roared painfully. The saint force within him quickly began to surge, all condensing around his right index finger. Afterward, he pointed out with it. Immediately, a huge, 10-meter-long finger suddenly appeared. It radiated with powerful energy ripples that caused space completely formed from the forbidden radiant arte to tremble violently. It was like it was cracking as it was unable to endure the pressure brought on by the finger. As soon as the huge finger condensed, it rushed toward Jian Chen with an unstoppable presence. Wherever it passed by, the snow-white world would immediately shatter and reveal pitch-black cracks in space. The power of the finger was enough to destroy this world. It exceeded the limit that the region of space could withstand, annihilating it. The giant finger locked onto Jian Chen's presence, enveloping the entire surroundings. Jian Chen was unable to flee, all he could do was devote all his strength to resisting it. He became stern, using all he had to control the power of the laws to resist the Saint Tier battle skill cast by Ling Yuanzi. Boom! With the collision of the laws and the finger, a great rumble immediately shook the region. In that instant, the region of space turned to blackness and Jian Chen's radiant arte was also broken through by the finger. He was sent flying backward as he vomited blood, while the powerful energy brought on by the god's descent disappeared too. With the arte broken, the surrounding space recovered to how it was before. The violent energy from the Saint Tier battle skill wreaked havoc mid-air and caused violent winds to blow through the surroundings. Furious tsunamis formed on the surface of the sea, raising waves as high as several hundred meters. Jian Chen. Seeing Jian Chen fly backward from afar, newbies cried out in shock, immediately flying over to catch him. Leave quickly. Jian Chen became as pale as snow. His expression was drained and he spat out 2 words with great difficulty. He had failed to cast the god's descent completely, as it was forcefully broken through halfway by absolute power. It made Jian Chen receive great backlashes too. Additionally, he had been hit with a small portion of the Saint Tier battle skill and was greatly injured. Newbies did not waste any more time speaking, immediately fleeing toward the distance as he carried Jian Chen. Jian Chen, you've injured my origin soul so greatly that it'll even be difficult to recover completely with 1,000 years. How can I let you leave? Ling Yuanzi was disheveled and covered in blood, currently in a complete mess. His hatred for Jian Chen had already reached an unprecedented level. Jian Chen had heavily injured his origin soul, something that was extremely difficult to heal. He would no longer be able to make any more breakthroughs in the future. His cultivation would come to a halt if he could not rejuvenate his injured origin soul. Jian Chen, I want to obliterate you. The bloody Bai Yifei also roared angrily. He pursued in soaring rage, he had almost descended into madness. Bai Yifei did not have an organization as great as the 10 protector clans supporting him, so it was even more difficult for him to heal his injured origin soul. It was possible that he could not rejuvenate it at all in this lifetime. From now onward, it was extremely possible that he would remain as a 5th heavenly layer Saint King for all of eternity. Even though they were both heavily injured, they possessed terrifying strength. Along with the fact that the radiant arte was broken, they had regained their abilities as Saint Kings, catching up to newbies instantly. They directly struck Nubiz's back with a palm strike, causing him to vomit blood with no end. Enter the Saint Artifact. Jian Chen's voice was extremely weak. Soon afterward, a white light suddenly appeared and it enveloped the 2 of them before it sucked them away. A fist-sized golden tower hung in the middle of the air, before turning into a golden streak of light, beginning its flight. It's useless no matter where you hide. I will take that tower back to the clan. I'd like to see how'd you leave it then. Ling Yuanzi seemed to have become an enraged lion. He prevented the Saint artifact's escape by restraining it with the surrounding space before grabbing it. No matter how the artifact struggled, it was unable to break free from Ling Yuanzi's grasp. Chapter 858, Goddess of the Sea Race. The Saint artifact trembled violently in Ling Yuanzi's hand. It wanted to break free, but no matter how it tried, it failed. Ling Yuanzi's hand seemed like a steel claw that grasped the artifact tightly. Disheveled, Ling Yuanzi stared viciously at the Saint artifact in his hand. He laughed aloud. I never thought that this would be a treasure that can store living people. From today onward, this belongs to me. Jian Chen, you injured my origin soul. I'll take your treasure as compensation. The trembling of the artifact became even more violent. It began to radiate brightly with golden light, but it was all to no avail. Although the artifact spirit possessed the strength of a Saint Emperor within the artifact space, its external abilities were too weak due to innate limitations. Even Saint rulers would be able to restrain it, let alone supreme Saint kings. Jian Chen, give up. I want to see how you're able to escape from me. When I take you back to the clan, I have all the methods in the world to deal with you, sneered Ling Yuanzi. Enveloped with a layer of powerful Saint force, he trapped the Saint artifact in his palm before he swung out with his other hand. He directly cut open the space and created a space gate, about to leave. At this very moment, a vast, boundless energy appeared abruptly. It shot toward Ling Yuanzi viciously with an aura of destruction. The appearance of this energy was too sudden. It traveled too quickly, preventing Ling Yuanzi from reacting at all. It had also locked onto Ling Yuanzi's presence, he was unable to dodge at all. Meanwhile, a terrifying energy from the soul permeated the sky and forcefully collapsed the space gate ripped open by Ling Yuanzi. Ling Yuanzi roared out. He no longer suppressed his injuries and struck out with all he had toward the powerful energy that surged in his direction. His Saint weapon exploded with light and great energy rippled mightily in the surroundings. Afterward, he swung down with it. This terrifying attack caused the space to be annihilated and revealed a patch of darkness. Boom! Ling Yuanzi was not a match for it when the two attacks collided. He was wounded greatly once again, sent flying backward as he vomited blood. His complexion became ghastly, now extremely weak. The Saint artifact took advantage of this opportunity to break free from Ling Yuanzi's grasp, turning into a streak of golden light and disappearing into the vast ocean below. Ling Yuanzi was astounded. The person who had attacked secretly was just too terrifying. Their strength completely exceeded his, which caused him a substantial shock. Ling Yuanzi struggled as he stayed afloat in the sky. He quickly pulled out a piece of jade from his space ring before he crushed it without any hesitation. Only then did he greatly relax. I wonder who is it that struck out secretly and has something against us 10 protector clans, to ruin what we're doing. Ling Yuanzi immediately became confident and called out with difficulty. Bai Yifei also arrived before Ling Yuanzi with Bai Jian. He looked around cautiously. The person who had attacked secretly was just too powerful. Even at his peak, Bai Yifei had no confidence in absolute victory, much less now. At this very moment, a vague figure suddenly appeared 100 meters away from the three of them. She was a tall, slender woman in a blue dress and seemed to be in her 20s. Her blue hair fell like a waterfall to her feet, while her face was illusionary, blurry, and unable to be seen properly. All over, she radiated naturally with a unique aura. It was filled with holiness and nobility as if she could not be offended. It disinclined people from being disrespectful from the bottom of their hearts. Bai Yifei and Ling Yuanzi were both surprised even though they were 5th heavenly layer Saint Kings. This was because the blurry, mysterious woman caused them to be filled with an urge to prostrate themselves. It shocked both of them very much to feel this. Even when they faced up against saint emperors such as the Path Lord of Carnal Desires or the Tiger Emperor Lankiros, they would not feel something like this. "Who are you?" Ling Yuanzi cried out. His confidence had already begun to slip away. He could feel the strength and terror of this mysterious woman. "Human, you've intruded into the territory of us, the sea race. Leave immediately." The illusionary woman's pearl-like teeth moved slightly. Her voice was calm and cold, without any emotions. Ling Yuanzi was astonished. He asked with a gruff voice, "Are you a saint emperor from the sea race?" "I am the goddess of the sea race." The woman's voice was as calm as ever. "What? The sea goddess?" Bai Yifei and Ling Yuanzi paled in fright. They staggered backward, while waves of emotion roared through their hearts. "Leave the territory of my sea race in 3 seconds." The woman threw down a final sentence before she disappeared. She was now nowhere to be seen. However, her appearance had brought tremendous shock to both Bai Yifei and Ling Yuanzi. It stunned them on the spot, their minds ceasing thought. When they had returned to their senses, they no longer dared to stay any longer. What Jian Chen? What winged tiger god? Thoughts such as those were all cast aside by them. They left as if they were fleeing for their lives. The sea goddess was a supreme champion that had surpassed Saint Emperor. In the current age, who could be her enemy? Not long afterward, Ling Yuanzi united with the people who had rushed over from the Yuan sect. He described everything that had happened in detail to the other great elders. "What? The sea goddess is not dead?" Hearing Ling Yuanzi's report, the great elders all paled in fright. They were shocked. This piece of news was just like a crack of thunder to them. It was unbelievable. "Let's head back immediately and quickly call on the other protector clans and mercenary city to discuss this matter." The people from the sect quickly left the ocean along with Bai Yifei. Currently, the saint artifact hung in the air as it radiated with a faint golden light in a dark cave. When it had escaped from Ling Yuanzi, the saint artifact had descended into the depths of the ocean, before finally passing through a powerful barrier and entering another world. Afterward, it hid in a cave. Although the world was located under the sea, it was enveloped by a very powerful barrier that kept all the seawater out. It created an independent space for the world under the sea. Within the saint artifact, Jian Chen and Nubis accepted the origin energy of radiant saint force from the artifact spirit and were recovering. The two of them were enveloped by a milky white light as their injuries healed quickly. This time, the attacks they had received were from Saint Kings. The injuries were extremely heavy and it took Nubis an entire day to recover. As for Jian Chen, his body still contained some residual energy from the Saint Tier battle skill as he was injured by it. His condition was even worse and he struggled to heal himself. That Saint Tier battle skill really is powerful. If you want to completely heal the wounds left behind by it, you need several strands of origin energy. Just one will not be enough. The artifact spirit stood before Jian Chen, pouring several strands of origin energy consecutively into his body. It slowly healed the wounds left behind by the Saint Tier battle skill. The origin energy controlled by the artifact spirit was much more powerful than Jian Chen's origin energy. With him helping out, the effects would be greater. After consuming several strands, Jian Chen finally recovered completely. However, his loss of 500 years of life from casting the forbidden radiant arte could not be recovered no matter what he tried. As a result, Jian Chen recovered from his injuries but he clearly still felt weak. Artifact Spirit, how is the situation outside? As soon as he recovered, Jian Chen asked the Artifact Spirit immediately. Master, we're completely safe now. We've reached the sea race, said the Artifact Spirit. With that, Jian Chen finally relaxed slightly. He gave out a soft sigh. What a pity. Even with 500 years of my life as the price, the god's descent was unable to kill the two of them. Jian Chen, you should know where to draw the line. They were both fifth heavenly layer Saint Kings and were heavily injured by you. Additionally, they've received wounds to their origin souls where it's extremely difficult to recover from. They've paid an extremely heavy price, and in the end, you even forced that old man to cast his Saint-tier battle skill, said Nubis. If it weren't for the battle skill destroying my god's descent, I had the confidence of killing the two of them. If I used a millennia of my life as the price, I'm confident I could have forcefully taken on his Saint-tier battle skill and then killed them afterward, said Jian Chen expressionlessly. He felt rather regretful. He was so close to killing two great Saint Kings this time. 1,000 years of life. Nubis immediately leaped up and stared at Jian Chen wide-eyed. Kiddo Jian Chen, do you think your life is too long? 500 years is already terrifying enough, and yet you still want to pay 1,000 years of your life to kill two Saint Kings. Why would you even do such an unworthwhile thing? With your talent, you'll probably reach Saint Emperor in another 1,000 years. At that time, you'll have the power to kill your way through the Protector clans. Why must you be so wrapped up in the moment? Jian Chen stood up and said, Nubis, let's not talk about this for now. I plan on going into seclusion for some time after this. Alright, I'll go into seclusion too. When I absorb all the hidden essence left in that old snake, I'll be able to reach Saint King successfully, said Nubis. At that very moment, the artifact spirit's expression changed slightly. He said, the senses of the sea race is just too powerful. Master, a few people have already discovered our existence and are currently hurrying over. With that, Jian Chen's face darkened slightly. Looks like it's not the time to go into seclusion right now. Jian Chen, let's go out first. The secret of the Saint artifact cannot become widespread. We definitely can't let the people of the sea race discover its existence. Once any news of it is leaked, it'll cause quite some trouble, said Nubis. Afterwards, Nubis and Jian Chen appeared outside with a flash of white light in the gloomy cave. Jian Chen stored the artifact away, before they concealed their presences and walked outside. Arriving outside the cave, Jian Chen unconsciously looked upward. The sky was a deep blue, consisting of seawater that was forcefully blocked by the barrier. The barrier shone with a gentle blue light that illuminated the entire world. The territory of the sea race was dyed blue by the light from the barrier. Where the sea race thrived, the temperature was rather low. The outside sun could not be seen at all, while some energy of the 6 attributes were lacking. The water attribute was extremely powerful, several times denser than on the Tianyuan continent, while the other attributes were much weaker. The fire attribute was not present at all. Is this the world of the sea race? Murmured Jian Chen as he gazed at the unfamiliar world. Although Nubis knew that the sea race existed from his inherited memories, it was the first time he had come here. Naturally, he was extremely curious too, constantly moving his head to look around. Far away, over 10 figures appeared suddenly. They radiated with a water-blue light as they sped toward Jian Chen and Nubis in the air with the assistance of water-attributed energy. Chapter 859, World of the Sea. A few classed 6 magical beasts have come. Nubis focused his attention on the dozen or so figures who flew over from the distance. They're not magical beasts but humanoid organisms who have evolved from sea life, corrected Jian Chen. He could tell with a single glance that they were not humans or magical beasts. There's not much information regarding the sea race in my inherited memories. However, these members of the sea race really are intriguing. They're basically the same as us magical beasts, but they don't need to reach Saint Ruler to gain a human form. They're much better than us magical beasts, sighed Nubis. The people arrived before the two of them very quickly. They stopped 20 meters away, while their expressions were filled with caution. There were 13 people in total, 12 young men and 1 woman. The young men were all of average appearance, while the woman was slightly dashing. She exuded a refined aura of nobility and was clearly the daughter of some wealthy clan. Perhaps it was because of the special factors in the environment of the sea that they lived in, but their skin were not white. Instead, their skin was green, a very distinct feature that differentiated them from the humans who dwelled on the Tianyuan continent. As Jian Chen and Nubis studied them, they looked back and examined them in return. However, they shifted their gazes from Jian Chen very quickly. Their eyes landed on the gold-clothed Nubis who had long, golden hair. Most of those who lived under the sea had blue hair. Although a minority had hair of other colors, people with golden hair had never appeared. Nubis clearly stood out with his appearance among the people of the sea race. "Esteemed warriors, may I ask of your purpose here?" The rather good-looking lady asked curiously, while her eyes constantly studied Jian Chen and Nubis. "The 2 of us are resting here. Is there anything you require?" Jian Chen asked indifferently. "Miss, don't pay any attention to them. We're not far from Jas City now. For the 2 of them to rest in the wilderness, they clearly haven't brought enough crystal coins to pay the fee to enter the city, or they don't have enough crystal coins to live in there. With Mrs. Great Status, there's no need to talk to these lowly people. It'll only be depreciating Mrs. Status," said a young man with a slightly good-looking appearance from behind. His gaze toward Jian Chen and Nubis was filled with disdain. He was unable to feel their strength at all, so he viewed them as ordinary people. "Shut up, there's no need to be so rude," the lady reprimanded the young man with a slight frown. Afterward, she looked toward the 2 of them and asked, "Esteemed warriors, may I ask how many stars do you possess as Sea Soul warriors?" Jian Chen and Nubis looked at each other. They had no idea as to how to answer this question. This was their first time coming to where the sea race resided, so they were still extremely unfamiliar with the sea race. They had no idea what a Sea Soul warrior was, how many stars they were, or what they represented. If they answered it incorrectly, it would draw suspicion from the people. Seeing how the 2 of them were unable to answer this question, the young man from behind could not help but speak out, "Haven't you become Sea Soul warriors yet?" "No, we indeed have not become Sea Soul warriors," replied Jian Chen. With that, all the young men behind the lady revealed expressions of contempt. Their gazes toward the 2 of them were filled with unconcealed disdain. Skepticism appeared on the lady's face, clearly not believing what Jian Chen had said. She was talented and practiced the innate spirit-opening technique of the 8 great sea race techniques. Her sensory abilities exceeded those on the same level and were able to spy on almost everything. Before, as she had passed this region, she had clearly felt the ripples of a powerful but extremely obscure energy. As a result, she rushed over and discovered Jian Chen and Nubis. However, her innate spirit-opening technique was unable to see through Jian Chen and Nubis. She could feel that the 2 people before her were not as simple as they seemed at all. The lady hesitated slightly before asking, "Esteemed warriors, the Jas City is not far from here. Also, the grand auction held once every 100 years is about to start soon too. Why don't the 2 warriors enter the city with me?" "Alright, we'll go in with the young lady." Jian Chen agreed readily. "Jian Chen, why do you want to enter the city with them now?" Nubi sent a mental message as he was extremely perplexed. Members of the sea race are relatively special. Their sensory abilities completely exceed my expectations, and they actually discovered the existence of the Saint artifact. The artifact is unable to conceal its presence entirely, so we can't take it out often. As a result, we can only cultivate outside, which is why we need to have a detailed understanding regarding the sea race. Following them undoubtedly would be a fast and convenient way to this knowledge. Yeah, that seems reasonable. I do have some information recorded in my inherited memories regarding the sea race, but I have no idea how long ago this is from. The sea race must have experienced some great changes too, like these Sea Soul warriors. I have no clue what they are. Afterward, the two of them followed the woman toward Jas City. They concealed their strength as they enveloped themselves with a layer of water-attributed energy and flew slowly. To the two of them who were both saint rulers, this was as easy as cake. As they displayed their ability of flight, it immediately caused a great change in the gazes of the other people. Along the way, Jian Chen and Nubis constantly asked vague questions regarding the situation of the sea race. They learned a lot of useful information from the lady, gaining a deeper and deeper understanding. Other than the fact that the sea race was divided into 3 factions that they already knew, it was further split up into the inner and outer oceans. The inner ocean was the independent world where the two of them currently resided, separated by a barrier. It was the holy land of the sea race where only highly evolved, humanoid sea race members had the right to enter. The members of the sea race who had yet to gain a humanoid form could only live in the outer ocean. The outer ocean was the world outside the barrier. Not only was the environment horrible, there was a scarce supply of water-attributed energy of the world and it was filled with sea water. Of course, there were a few species of the sea race who could not take humanoid forms due to innate limitations. As a result, they only needed to reach the 14th star as Sea Soul Warriors to gain the right to enter. Sea Soul Warriors were the cultivators of the sea race. Their strengths were divided into a total of 18 stars. According to how magical beasts were measured, one class was equivalent to 2 stars. First star and second star Sea Soul Warriors were equivalent to human saints and class 1 magical beasts, while third star and fourth star Sea Soul Warriors were equivalent to human great saints and class 2 magical beasts. Continuing with this pattern, 11th star and 12th star Sea Soul Warriors were equivalent to class 6 magical beasts, 13th star and 14th star Sea Soul Warriors were equivalent to class 7 magical beasts, 15th star and 16th star Sea Soul Warriors were equivalent to class 8 magical beasts and 17th star and 18th star Sea Soul Warriors were equivalent to class 9 magical beasts. In the territory of the sea race, crystal coins would form naturally from the water-attributed energy. Not only were they the currency used by the sea race, they were also a crucial object for cultivation. The coins were as important as monster cores on the Tianyuan continent, but the only difference was that when they absorbed these coins for cultivation, there would not be any after-effects. Other than the 3 halls that divided the world, there were many other organizations of various sizes, existing in the forms of clans or tribes. Other than all this, Jian Chen also learned something extremely important. There would often be humans or magical beasts who moved about among the sea race too. They were virtually all foreign cultivators who lived quite close to the region of sea. They would bring in objects from outside to trade with the sea race to obtain what they needed. Although the majority of the sea race did not antagonize foreign humans or magical beasts, there were exceptions. Some members of the sea race were extremely xenophobic, so whenever they saw outsiders, there would often be conflict or deeds of murder and robbery. Even powerful human saint rulers and class 7 magical beasts were not exceptions to this fact. As a result, if outsiders wanted to move about among the sea race safely, they needed the support of a powerful organization. Jian Chen also gained some understanding of the lady's identity. She was the daughter of a clan patriarch several tens of thousand kilometers away and was called Kaya. She had cultivated for over 200 years, and this was the first time she had led a dozen or so 12th star Sea Soul Warriors to participate in the auction of Jas City held once every 100 years. As Jian Chen traveled towards the city, the high-ranking members of the 10 protector clans and Mercenary City all gathered in a floating hall in Mercenary City. Everyone, this is the situation. The sea goddess is not dead, and Jian Chen fled into the territory of the sea race with the winged tiger god. Let's talk about just what we should do. A great elder narrated the information he had learned from Ling Yuanzi in detail. Within the floating hall, all the other people were extremely stern, with the grand elder of Mercenary City being the only exception. The sea goddess was an influential existence from the ancient times. She was someone that matched up to the greatest human expert Mo Tianyun, the ancient winged tiger god, and the war god of the 100 races, Ergens. She was one of the 4 supreme champions that surpassed Saint Emperor. Now that so many years had passed, the war god Ergens had fallen. The ancient winged tiger god and Mo Tianyun had both disappeared. It was extremely likely that they have passed away from old age. They were no longer with them, yet the sea goddess still existed. This piece of news caused an extremely great shock to the 10 protector clans and made all of their expressions become ugly. Yuan Qingzi, is this true? Are you sure the sea goddess is not dead? And that it's not some other expert posing to scare us? Asked a representative from a protector clan. His tone was stern. I'm absolutely certain about this. Other than me, there's also Bai Yifei who witnessed this. Ling Yuanzi growled. He had yet to recover fully from his injuries, so his face was sheet white and ghastly. Ling Yuanzi, are your injuries from the sea goddess? I feel that your origin soul is extremely weak. It has suffered extremely great damage, said a ruddy old man. Ling Yuanzi shook his head. As soon as he thought about this, he felt a wave of shame and resentment. As an impressive 5th heavenly layer Saint King, he had actually fallen to such a state all from a junior who was far weaker than he was. This was a great embarrassment. It was Jian Chen. I never thought he'd reached class 7 as a radiant saint master. He paid 500 years of his life as a price to cast the forbidden radiant arte, injuring me heavily, said Ling Yuanzi with gritted teeth. Hatred toward Jian Chen churned within him. With that, everyone present was surprised. Changyang Qingyun from the Changyang clan and the Grand Elder of Mercenary City both became mixed in emotions. They wanted to help Jian Chen very much, but they lacked the power to do so. This was also connected to the winged tiger god. If the problem regarding who the winged tiger god belonged to was not resolved, they could not help Jian Chen at all, as this would only intensify the disagreement between the protector clans. It's about time I told everyone this. Yuan Qingzi is right. The sea goddess has indeed not passed away and still remains alive, said Tian Jian. His voice was flat and reserved. Tian Jian, how are you so certain that the sea goddess is not dead? Tian Jian, since you knew the sea goddess was still alive, why didn't you tell us earlier? 2 representatives from different clans asked at the same time. Tian Jian replied slowly, many years ago, I fused my origin soul with the hull and borrowed its power to observe the world. I sensed a terrifyingly powerful energy from the sea race and confirmed that it was the sea goddess. As for why I didn't tell you all, do you believe this is good news? Knowing would actually make you all worse off, making you all worry. Chapter 860, Fragment of the Octaterra Map. Tian Jian replied slowly, many years ago, I fused my origin soul with the hull and borrowed its power to observe the world. I sensed a terrifyingly powerful energy from the sea race and confirmed that it was the sea goddess. As for why I didn't tell you all, do you believe this is good news? Knowing would actually make you all worse off, making you all worry. Everyone present understood. The news about the sea goddess caused them to experience an extremely great pressure. If it was possible, they would rather not hear about it. Now that Jian Chen's taken the winged tiger god into the territory of the sea race with him, what do you all think we should do? A member of the 10 protector clans said with a deep voice. Many people present became extremely grim. With the Tian Yuan continent's current strength, the realm of the sea race was a forbidden zone without any doubt. Even if they united all the power on the entire continent, they would not be able to fend off one of the 4 supreme champions that had surpassed Saint Emperor from the ancient times. Even if they worked with the beast god continent, they would probably still be unable to oppose the sea race. The protector clans were ancient clans that had survived from the ancient times. There were many records in the clans, so they knew about the strength and terror of those who had surpassed Saint Emperor extremely well. I find this to be rather fishy. Since the sea goddess is still alive, why have we not heard any news about her even after so much time? It has even made everyone believe that she already had passed away from old age, analyzed an old man. With that, many people first stared blankly, before their eyes began to twinkle in thought. A middle-aged man said, I think that's reasonable. Since the sea goddess is still alive, why has she kept such a low profile? That doesn't make sense. Is she perhaps hiding for something? Or has she always been asleep and has only just woken up? A saint king has a lifespan of 6,000 years, while a saint emperor has 10,000. With the sea goddess's strength that has surpassed saint emperor, her lifespan will definitely be even longer, but it's already been so much time since the ancient times. No matter how long her life is, she shouldn't be still alive. Perhaps it's just a strand of the sea goddess's soul that she left behind? If it's just a strand of her soul, there's nothing to fear. The people from the 10 protector clans all discussed their views and ideas. The sea goddess saved Jian Chen at the most crucial moment. I think she already knows the existence of the winged tiger god too and will definitely take it. The beast god continent needs it even more urgently than us, so there's bound to be conflict between the sea race and the magical beasts. Why don't we just watch on from a distance if this is the case and let both of them sustain great losses? You never know, we might even be able to fish up some spoils from it. You're right. And we can use the beast god continent to probe the situation of the sea goddess as well. Currently, a voice filled with rage roared out in the depths of some mountains abundant in the energy of the world. Heavenly enchantress, you bitch. So much for me being so infatuated with you, and yet you treat me like this. You actually stopped me from killing Jian Chen. You're a wretched couple I say. By Jian, will definitely make the two of you regret it. Jian Chen, you bastard, you son of a bitch. You took my love. I will definitely make you suffer so much that you wish you were dead. So what if you've run off to the sea race? I won't let any of your friends or family off the hook. I will make the flame mercenaries into a bloodbath. Cough cough, By Jian, calm down. There's a great elder from the Changyang clan guarding Jian Chen's family. You must not act recklessly and remember to never clash with them openly. We still can't offend the protector clans. Bai Yifei's weakened voice sounded from within the cave. Dad, I know what I should do, said Bai Jian with bloodshot eyes and ragged breath. The rage within him had already reached the utmost limit. Changyang Zhu Yeyun stared blankly out the window in a building toward the main door of the Changyang clan in Lore City, her face filled with sorrow. Konger, just where are you? Changyang Zhu Yeyun said miserably. In the recent years, she had not taken a single step out of Lore City, awaiting for her son's return quietly. Even she herself no longer had any idea how many times she had said things along those lines. Sigh, there goes another few years. Konger lifespan is getting shorter too. It's a pity that the world's so big. We can't find him at all. Changyang Zhu Yunshao also sighed sorrowfully. He felt extremely miserable. The flame mercenaries had also experienced an extremely great change in these 4 years. The original city walls had already been demolished and the construction of a city made out of tungsten alloy had begun too. Under the hard words of hundreds of thousands of workers, blocks of meter-wide tungsten alloy cubes were stacked up, already forming a city wall of over 30 meters in height. After 4 years, the reconstruction of Flame City had reached a third of the way there. Meanwhile, the act of building the city by the Flame Mercenaries was so great that it shook up a portion of the continent and raised the attention of various powerful organizations. Over these years, Yu Yu and Bai Lian both began to hand down matters gradually to their subordinates, devoting more time to cultivation. Their constitution had been improved by the heavenly resources left behind by Jian Chen. They cultivated much faster than ordinary people, and with the personal guidance from 2 saint rulers, Bai Hai and Jieta Tai, they had already become great saint masters. Ming Dong, Tai Ta, Fatty, Yui Feng, Dugufeng, and others spent the entire time in seclusion. They never appeared, so no one knew just how powerful they had grown to either. In the highest room of a tower at the Huanggu clan, the patriarch stood courteously before a large metal door. Reporting to Ancestor, I've already inquired about it. Your newly accepted disciple, Huang Wan, has reached the 3rd cycle as an Earth Saint Master. She's currently working hard on her cultivation under the personal guidance of the ancestor from the Huang family, Huang Tianba. 3rd cycle Earth Saint Master. This speed is a little slow. If this continues, it'll at least take a dozen or so years before she reaches Heaven Saint Master. It seems it's time for me to bring that girl back. Only when she is by my side will her cultivation speed increase, and only then will she reach Heaven Saint Master in the shortest amount of time possible. An ancient, powerful voice boomed from inside the metal door. It was the ancestor of the Huanggu clan. Jia City was deep under the sea in the Sea Race's territory and was a very well-known city in a radius of several tens of thousands of kilometers. It took up an extremely large area and had a great population. It was an extremely bustling city. The travelers beside Nubis and Jianchen gradually increased as they reached a distance of 10 kilometers from the city with Kaya. Almost all of them were members of the Sea Race, with long, blue hair and blue skin. However, other than this, they seemed just like the humans on the Tianyuan continent. Jia City is a king-level city. Only Sea Soul warriors beyond the 13th star can fly in it. If the 2 warriors have reached the 13th star, you can enter directly by air and there won't be a need to pay a fee to enter the city. Kaya stared at the 2 of them as her eyes glimmered with interest. Jianchen stared into the distance. Just as she had said, he discovered that every person who entered the city needed to pay a varying number of crystal coins to the soldiers. Jianchen pulled out a 100-year-old heavenly resource from his space ring and said, "Miss Kaya, we've used up all the crystal coins on us. Is it possible to use this heavenly resource to exchange for some crystal coins with Miss?" Kaya smiled brightly and pulled out a small, bulging bag of money from her space ring. "Warriors, here are 100 grand quality crystal coins. Just treat it as a gift from me. Please keep the heavenly resource, warriors." After some silent thought, Jianchen accepted the bag full of coins from Kaya. "Since it's like this, then treat it as if the 2 of us owing Miss Kaya a favor. We'll definitely repay it in the future when we get the chance." Jianchen and Nubis separated with Kaya outside the city. They directly paid the fee with the 100 grand quality crystal coins and disappeared into the crowds. "Miss, do you perhaps know these 2 warriors? Why did you give 100 grand quality crystal coins to them so magnanimously?" "That's not a small amount," asked a guard in confusion after Jianchen and Nubis left. Kaya watched as the 2 of them disappeared into the crowds. "I practice the innate spirit opening technique so I can look into certain things much deeper than other people. I believe in my instinct. The 2 of them are not simple. Forming a good tie with them right now might just bring great benefits to our tribe in the future. But, no buts, let's go into the city." Inside Jia City, Jianchen and Nubis strolled through its bustling streets. In order to not draw attention, Nubis had already changed his golden hair and clothes to blue on purpose, while Jianchen remained the same. It was approaching the great auction that Jia City held once every 100 years, so conversations about it could be heard everywhere on the streets. Apparently, there'll be a lot of treasures that'll appear in the auction this time. It's drawn in people from many large tribes, so it'll definitely be another fierce battle between them when the time comes. I heard that there'll be 3D level saint techniques in the auction this time. I wonder if that's true or not. Saint techniques were equivalent to the battle skills from the Tianyuan continent and were just another name for them. The saint techniques were divided into 4 levels by the Sea Race, the Tian level, D level, Xian level and Huang level respectively. The Tian level was the most powerful, equivalent to saint tier battle skills on the Tianyuan continent, while the Huang level was the lowest, equal to human tier battle skills. There's not just D-level saint techniques. I heard that there's also going to be a Tian level saint technique for auction too, but it doesn't seem to be complete. Only 30% seems to be there. There's also liquid mercury in this auction. It's a substance from the Sea of Despair and is created by the world. It's extremely rare and is sacred to the sea race. With just a mouthful of it, someone with ordinary talent can gain talent that is even rarely seen in 1,000 years. I heard there's also going to be a Class 8 Radiant Spirit pill for auction. It's from the distant Tian Yuan continent and is an extremely valuable medicine for healing. It's worth cities. It's rumored that a fragment of the Octaterra map is for auction. It was left behind by the Octaterra Emperor 10,000 years ago who had reached the 17th star. It's the key to opening the Octaterra Divine Hall. Inside the hall is the Octaterra Emperor's legacy and all of his belongings. There are 8 fragments to the Octaterra map. It's rumored that 7 fragments have already appeared, now all in the hands of the 7 great tribes. Looks like the one this time is the final fragment. Jian Chen and Nubis strolled down the streets, observing the local customs and traditions of the sea race as they listened to the people in the surroundings talk. This Octo-something emperor was actually a 17th star expert. According to how the strength of the sea race is divided, he should be a saint emperor. That's a dwelling left behind by a saint emperor. Interesting, muttered Nubis as he stroked his chin. An expression of great interest appeared in his eyes. Just as Jian Chen wanted to tell Nubis to keep a lower profile, Zi Ying's voice sounded in his head. Master, I've found another material to craft the azulate swords. It's 10 kilometers ahead. Chapter 861, The Mysterious Woman. What? You found another material? Jian Chen rejoiced, immediately speeding up his footsteps as he walked forward. Traveling 10 kilometers, Jian Chen arrived before a grand castle. He already knew that the material for the azulate swords was inside this castle from Ziying. The Jas auction. Staring at the grand words on the castle, Jian Chen realized that the materials for the azulate swords would likely be sold off in the form of an auction. Every material for the azulate swords was extremely rare and unique. It would be very hard to destroy them. Other than the materials with some particular, miscellaneous uses, the others were not objects that could be used by people of this world. However, due to their rarity and unique characteristics, they possessed a certain price and were collected as treasures by many wealthy people. Master, this is the holy water of the Spirit Sea. It is a liquid that only forms in a spirit sea after countless years and possesses wondrous effects. When people below Saint King consume it, not only will it greatly increase their strength, it also has the effect of refining their soul, sounded Zi Ying's voice. He provided a detailed explanation of the uses of the holy water. Zi Ying, why do I feel like this holy water is something for increasing strength and not for forging items? Jian Chen asked curiously. Master, you may not know that the holy water is filled with natural world essence. When you forge the swords, the quality will be greatly increased if you add in the holy water. It can even raise the quality of the azulate swords directly from a low-quality immortal artifact to peak quality, explained Ziying. Jian Chen reached an understanding and thought, this holy water is actually even useful for saint rulers. There must be a lot of people fighting over for it. I need to get my hands on some of this place's currency. Anyway, I can't let anyone else win the holy water. If someone else ingests it, wouldn't that mean I missed an opportunity to obtain it? Although Jian Chen had large quantities of purple coins, they were worth nothing to the sea race. They were completely useless here. Jian Chen, what are you standing there blankly for? Nubis could not help but ask out of curiosity as he saw Jian Chen standing there blankly. Jian Chen looked towards the auction center. There's something I need in there. I need to find a way to get some crystal coins. That won't be easy. You might as well head into the wilderness and rob some people, Nubis said boldly. With that, Jian Chen broke into laughter. Nubis, so much for being a great snake emperor. You actually want to go do those things as an impressive class 7 magical beast. Nubis scratched his head and chuckled. Isn't it just the strong eating the weak? That's the principle for survival in this world. There's nothing embarrassing about it, though to rob others just for some crystal coins is indeed rather embarrassing with our status. Whatever, Jian Chen, let me hear your suggestion. Do you have any method to make money? After a period of thought, Jian Chen said, there's still half a month's time before the auction begins. We have time. Let's first settle down in an inn and think of a way to make crystal coins. If push really comes to shove, I can only auction off some of the valuable heavenly resources in my space ring. Jian Chen really did not want to sell off the things in his space ring unless he had to. This was because probably only the 10,000-year-old heavenly resources and stalks of dragon saliva would be accepted by the sea race out of all his valuable possessions. Just selling them would be rather regretful. As for monster cores, they were not as effective to the sea race compared to humans. They were not worth much and the energy in many of his high-class monster cores had solidified and leaked away, so they were worth even less. At that very moment, a conversation from some passers-by attracted Jian Chen's attention. The Dare tribe really has screwed up this time. They actually offended the Menghuang tribe. The Menghuang tribe's well-renowned in this area within a radius of 100,000 kilometers. Apparently, they have 3 13th star Sea Soul warriors with them. 3 Sea Soul warriors who have reached the 13th star is enough to make a clean sweep of all organizations in this area. They're invincible and I heard one of the former patriarchs is still alive. He's reached the 14th star long ago and is one of the peak experts in this region. I also heard that the former patriarch has a pretty good relationship with an emissary from the Serpent God Hall. Many of the other large tribes do not dare to offend him. The Dare tribe only has one person who has reached the 13th star. I want to see how they repel the attacks from the Menghuang tribe. I heard that there's a spiritual vein that's rich with crystal coins in the territory of the Dare tribe. They mine a lot of crystal coins from it and it has made several tribes in the surrounding region green with envy. The Menghuang tribe seems to have their eyes on this spiritual vein in the Dare tribe's control and want to take it. Looks like this vein of crystal coins is fated to end up with the Menghuang tribe. That might not be the case. I heard that the Dare tribe is offering great prices everywhere to recruit powerful people. They plan to have a battle to the death with the Menghuang tribe. Becoming enemies with the Menghuang tribe is not a smart choice. I don't think there's anyone who'll take up the offer. Hearing this, Jian Chen immediately began to ponder while his eyes constantly flickered with light. Jian Chen, surely you don't plan on helping that Dare tribe repel the Menghuang tribe? Nubis could not help but ask after seeing how Jian Chen behaved. The Dare tribe only has one 13th star Sea Soul warrior. They should be below the 5th heavenly layer as a saint ruler and are much weaker than the Menghuang tribe. They're looking for experts to fend off the Menghuang tribe, so the price would definitely be quite large. Maybe we could give that a try and make some crystal coins in the meantime, said Jian Chen in thought. It's extremely likely for our presences to be discovered by them in a battle with saint rulers of the sea race. If they find out that we are foreigners, we might encounter many problems in the future, said Nubis. Let's find an inn to settle down first. We can think over this slowly, suggested Jian Chen. Afterward, the two of them found quite an extravagant inn to stay in. The pair gathered in a large, comfortable room, discussing over matters. They had just arrived in the territory of the sea race and only the sea race possessed the strength to repel the 10 protector clans and the beast god continent. As a result, they would definitely stay with the sea race for quite some time, so they needed to keep a relatively low profile when they did things in order to not cause too much trouble and be marked as public enemies. Members of the sea race have rather similar bodies to humans. The only troubling thing would be our presences. If we can conceal it, then we wouldn't need to keep such a low profile, murmured Jian Chen. When Jian Chen reached this point, his complexion suddenly changed. He turned around to look behind himself abruptly and his eyes narrowed instantly. Sensing Jian Chen's actions, Nubis also looked behind him, which immediately made his expression change greatly as well. His eyes instantly became extremely narrowed, while vast energy surged within him. He had already made preparations to attack at any moment. A faint figure quickly condensed in the direction that they looked at, floating half a meter above the ground. It was a lady with long, blue hair who wore a blue dress. She possessed a devilish body, while her face was a blur, without anything that could be made out. "Who are you?" Jian Chen growled. He was stern. If it were not for that fact that his soul had strengthened from the absorption of the yin-yang qi, he would not have been able to detect this lady's appearance at all. He could clearly feel that her figure was an image completely condensed from the soul. "Jian Chen, who I am is not important. You just need to know that I have no ill intentions to you." A clear, eloquent voice sounded, which was as pleasant to the ear as a lark's cry. "How do you know my name?" Jian Chen's face became extremely ugly. Nubis's complexion also changed drastically. The lady had mentioned Jian Chen's name right from the start. Wouldn't that mean she knew all about the matters regarding Jian Chen on the Tianyuan continent? "I bear no ill intentions, so you have no need to be cautious. I have come specially to help you this time," the woman said gently. Afterward, without any movements from her, two blue, thumb-sized pearls appeared suddenly and hung in the air before them. "These are water spirits' pearls. They're forged by me from the Niden of members of the sea race. You only need to ingest them and it'll be able to conceal your presence as an outsider completely. They are of no harm to you. Just who are you? Why are you helping us?" Jian Chen and Nubis did not accept the Niden straight away. They felt extremely curious about the lady's identity. "You will know of my identity naturally in the future. Jian Chen, I've helped you twice. You need to help me too in the future," said the lady. "You've helped me twice?" Jian Chen was greatly confused. "If it weren't for me, how would you escape from the human experts? That was the first time I helped you, and gifting you the water spirit's pearls would be my second time assisting you. Jian Chen, as long as you remain with the sea race, I will help you block the outside experts of the Beast God continent and the Tianyuan continent. You will have no worries about that. In the future, when you're strong enough, you need to help me with something. What do you want me to help you with? If it's beyond my capabilities, you might end up disappointed," said Jian Chen. "I've searched the entire world and probably only you have the ability. If even you are unable, then there would be no one else in the world. You will naturally learn of exactly what you need to do in the future." The woman's voice was clear and eloquent and carried an unfathomable effect. "Also, there is the 8 fragments of the Octaterra map. The 7 other fragments have all ended up in the hands of 7 great tribes. The last fragment is in this auction. You must obtain it, it's of great use to you in the future. Right now, you're in the territory of the Serpent God Hall. You won't be able to stay here in the future. Go to the Sea Goddess Hall. You'll be safe there. Remember, you must obtain a fragment of the Octaterra map. Inside it contains the wealth of the Octaterra Emperor." With that, the illusionary woman disappeared. Chapter 862, 10 million grand quality crystal coins. Jian Chen and Nubis were both in deep thought as the words from the illusionary lady echoed through their heads. However, they were even more curious about her identity. But they both knew that since the lady dared to boldly say that she could help them block the experts from the Tianyuan continent and the Beast God continent, her strength would definitely be extremely great. Moreover, she most likely possessed an extraordinary status among the sea race. Jian Chen, do you think that the words from that woman who hides are reliable or not? Do the 2 water spirits' pearls that she gifted really pose no harm to us? Nubis turned to Jian Chen. Jian Chen stared at the 2 pearls for a while. It doesn't matter whether that mysterious woman's words are true or false. Since she needs my help, she shouldn't harm us. Let's ingest the pearls and see if they really do have the wondrous effect she described before. With that, Jian Chen grabbed the pearl floating before him and swallowed it. As the water spirit's pearl slid down his throat, Jian Chen only felt a cool sensation spread through every corner of his body. He did not find it uncomfortable at all. Jian Chen closed his eyes and inspected the conditions of his body. Only when he found that nothing was wrong did he slowly open his eyes. He said to Nubis, "It should be safe." Nubis stared at Jian Chen in surprise and exclaimed, "Jian Chen, I feel like your presence has undergone some changes. It's actually become exactly the same as the presence from a member of the sea race. Looks like that mysterious woman hasn't tricked us. The water spirit's pearls really can change the presence of us foreigners." Nubis immediately grabbed the pearl floating before him and gulped it down without any hesitation. As the pearl entered his stomach, Jian Chen could also feel clearly that Nubis's presence changing quickly. His presence as a magical beast became masked and was replaced by a presence that was exactly the same as a member of the sea race. Jian Chen could not help but curl his lips into a happy smile after seeing this. "Nubis, your presence has changed too. I can't sense the magical beast's presence from you with my current strength. It's great now. Our worries from before have been completely eliminated. We'll finally be able to move about among the sea race without worrying about troubles that much. Yeah, from now on, I can swagger when I walk among the sea race. Oh yeah, Jian Chen, don't you need a lot of crystal coins? We can help the Dare tribe repel the Menghuang tribe's invasion. Since the Dare tribe possesses a spiritual vein that produces crystal coins, they must be extremely wealthy. We need to take advantage of them viciously and rake it all in," said Nubis. As soon as they reached the topic of proper business, Jian Chen's smile gradually disappeared. He lowered his head in thought and said, "I've overheard some passers-by and learned that the Menghuang tribe has 3 13th star Sea Soul warriors and 1 14th star Sea Soul warrior. According to how power is divided on the Tianyuan continent, 13th star Sea Soul warriors should be saint rulers below the 5th heavenly layer, while 14th star Sea Soul warriors should be saint rulers above the 5th heavenly layer. If the Menghuang tribe really only has that much power, we should be able to handle it easily. We might as well investigate the Menghuang tribe's strength some more and see if they have any saint kings. As long as there aren't any saint kings on their side, it won't be a problem," said Nubis. "Fair enough. Jia City is a large city, so there should be places where information is brokered. Let's go look into the Menghuang tribe's full strength first," said Jian Chen, before leaving the inn with Nubis. Jian Chen and Nubis traveled through the streets and after some investigation, they finally found a place that brokered confidential information. It was a small pavilion by the name of World's Connection. The pavilion was built from stone and was covered by marks left behind by time. Obviously, it had existed for a very long time. It was extremely cold and cheerless within the pavilion, with extremely simple decor. There was no one else other than Jian Chen and Nubis. "Warriors, you must have come for information regarding the auction this time. Please be patient, there has been quite a few people who have come for information regarding the auction in the past few days. Right now, those in charge are receiving some guests upstairs. They'll be done very quickly." A voice sounded from the reception desk nearby. Jian Chen and Nubis looked over and saw a shrewd young man sitting behind the counter, looking at the two of them. This young man was extremely small, only a meter tall. Jian Chen walked over to the reception and said to the young man, "Apparently you know about everything here. Is that true? Warriors, it seems like you do not have too great of an understanding of the ability of our world's connection. We have many members who are virtually scattered throughout the ocean. Although we're not necessarily the most powerful, no one dares to challenge us in terms of the information we know in the realm of the sea, guaranteed the young man. He was extremely confident. All right. I want to know the exact strength that the Menghuang tribe possesses, said Jian Chen. The shrewd young man could not help but closely study Jian Chen and Nubis. He immediately became courteous and said unhurriedly, "Esteemed warriors, you must want to help the Dare tribe. This one just happens to know all about the Menghuang tribe, so I'll be the one informing the two warriors. However, according to the rules, you would need to pay 10 high-quality crystal coins as a price." An hour later, Jian Chen and Nubis departed the pavilion. They had already gained a detailed understanding of the Menghuang tribe from World's Connection. In the end, it was roughly just as the passers-by had said except for some minute differences. The Menghuang tribe had a total of 3 saint rulers below the 5th heavenly layer and 1 above. They were not what Jian Chen focused on. Instead, the person who Jian Chen and Nubis really cared about was the talented member of the tribe who was an emissary of the serpent god Hall. He had even been accepted as a disciple by an elder of the organization and had some status among the Hall. The Dare tribe was rather close to Jas City. They were only around 10,000 kilometers away. He headed toward it with Nubis after learning its exact location in Jas City. The Dare tribe was a medium-sized tribe that reached into the 10,000s in terms of people. It was located on a flat plain and many small buildings made of stone stood in the surroundings. In the very center was a castle-like structure that took up several thousand square meters. Jian Chen and Nubis flew there from Jas City. They did not enter through the main entrance and instead directly flew to the center of the tribe, stopping before the castle-like structure. Who are they? Take guard. 2 people with great flags immediately alerted the entire tribe. At once, many people with the strength of heaven saint masters flew over from all directions, surrounding these 2 unknown and uninvited guests along with a few earth saint masters. "Warriors, who are you? State your intentions," growled an old heaven saint master. He was grim, as if he was facing great enemies. The other people were all filled with vigilance too. They glared at the 2 of them but did not do anything extreme. Nubis crossed his arms and sneered as he studied the surrounding people. His face was filled with great disdain. Jian Chen remained as usual. He looked around at the people and said calmly, "Is this the Dare tribe?" "Correct, this indeed is the Dare tribe." "Warriors, may I ask who you are?" The speaker was still the old man from before, but now he seemed to realize that the 2 of them were not enemies. As such, he could not help but ease up on his voice. "We've come to help you repel the Menghuang tribe. Is this how you welcome people who have come to help you?" Jian Chen stared right at the old man and said casually. With that, the old man rejoiced. His attitude immediately took a great turn and he said with smiles, "So the warriors are the valued guests of my Dare tribe? Please come in, warriors, please come in. Before, we thought you were people from the Menghuang tribe. If we have offended you in any way, please forgive us." The old man did not raise the matter of Jian Chen and Nubis intruding on the Dare tribe, courteously escorting them into the castle. Within the Grand Castle, Jian Chen and Nubis met the Grand Elder of the Dare tribe. He too was a heaven saint master, at the peak of the 6th cycle. He was only an inch away from becoming a saint ruler. In the Dare tribe, his status was only second to the patriarch. "I am the Grand Elder of the Dare tribe, Lord Jesk. I welcome the warriors for coming to assist our Dare tribe against the Menghuang tribe. I wonder how may I refer to the 2 warriors?" The Grand Elder smiled at Jian Chen and Nubis. However, his eyes glimmered with interest, constantly studying the 2 of them as if he wanted to learn them inside out. "I am Yang Yutian. The one beside me is my good friend Nubis. Grand Elder, I wonder how much is your Dare tribe willing to offer as remuneration for helping you repel the Menghuang tribe? If it's not enough, Jian Chen got straight to the point without any other superfluous words. The Grand Elder paid no heed to Jian Chen's straightforwardness. He smiled. "Don't worry, warriors. In order to protect our tribe so we are not be swallowed up by the Menghuang tribe, my tribe will be paying quite the price. As long as you are able to fend off the Menghuang tribe's attack and heavily injure them, my tribe is willing to offer up all of its crystal coins." "I hope the Grand Elder can give us an exact number," said Jian Chen with a smile. The Grand Elder chuckled and replied, "Right now, my tribe can take out a total of 10 million grand quality crystal coins. These 10 million coins will be paid according to the strength and deeds of the warriors who help my Dare clan. The stronger they are, the more coins they'll receive." Jian Chen and Nubis looked at each other. They were internally stunned by the Dare tribe's wealth. Although they had only just arrived in the sea race's territory, they had an extremely great understanding of the value of the crystal coins. A single grand quality crystal coin was worth 100 high quality crystal coins, 10,000 medium quality crystal coins, and 1,000,000 low quality crystal coins. Meanwhile, an organization as large as the Dare tribe could be considered as wealthy if they could pull out 5 million grand quality crystal coins in one go, yet the Dare tribe had taken out 10 million. They could not help but call the Dare tribe very wealthy. 10 million grand quality crystal coins was a great sum among the sea race. It was comparable to the wealth of some large tribes. "Grand Elder, we'll be taking all 10 million of your Dare tribe's grand quality crystal coins," Nubis said boldly. Chapter 863, The Power of a Punch. Nubis's words immediately caused the Grand Elder's face to stiffen. A slightly awkward expression appeared. Noticing the Grand Elder's expression, Jian Chen asked with a slightly heavy tone, "Is there something wrong about that?" Perhaps he realized that the two of them were not very happy anymore, so the Grand Elder immediately followed up. "Warriors, may I ask how many stars you are on? Looks like the Grand Elder is worrying about our strength." "Please do not worry. If the Menghuang tribe only has as much strength as described, the two of us can handle it without much difficulty," guaranteed Jian Chen. "Perhaps the two warriors have already reached the 14th star." The Grand Elder exclaimed uncontrollably while he ravished with joy. A mysterious smile appeared on Jian Chen and Nubis's face, but they did not say anything. The Grand Elder of the Dare tribe stood up. "Please wait, warriors. I will invite the Patriarch immediately. Come, please receive the two esteemed warriors properly for me." With that, the Grand Elder hurried away excitedly. With the Grand Elder's departure, only Jian Chen and Nubis remained seated in the large hall. "There's another 3 saint rulers here in this Dare tribe. One of them should be the Patriarch of the tribe, while the other 2 should also be experts of the sea race who have come to assist them in repelling the Menghuang tribe," Jian Chen said softly. He was extremely indifferent. Nubis nodded. "I've sensed that too. Looks like there are competition. Just the two of us is enough to handle the Menghuang tribe. There's no need for others to participate or the crystal coins will decrease. We need to chase away all competition." "You're right," agreed Jian Chen. Very soon, the Patriarch and the Grand Elder of the Dare tribe arrived at the hall together. The Patriarch was a burly, middle-aged man. He was bald and his face was resolute. He wore a water-blue vest, which left his 2 thick arms uncovered. The well-defined muscles on his arms were visually impactful, and he wore a pair of shorts that only reached his knees. Jian Chen could not help but connect his attire with the mercenaries that rushed about on the Tianyuan continent daily. "Ha ha ha, I welcome the 2 warriors to my Dare tribe as guests. My Dare tribe is honored to have your presence." As soon as the Patriarch entered the hall, he chuckled aloud. He seemed extremely bold and generous. After a few casual words with the Patriarch, Jian Chen reached the main topic of discussion with him. "I've already heard from the Grand Elder along the way. The two warriors want the entirety of the 10 million grand quality crystal coins. Is that true? The patriarch said seriously while he studied the two of them closely with glimmering eyes. Correct, we'll be taking all 10 million crystal coins. We'll help you repel the 4 experts from the Menghuang tribe, Nubis said boldly. He completely looked down upon the saint rulers from the Menghuang tribe. Do the two warriors have an understanding of the Menghuang tribe's strength? Are you sure you have confidence in dealing with the 4 of them? Asked the patriarch. You don't need to worry. As long as they're not 15th star Sea Soul warriors or don't possess Tian level saint techniques, they won't even be a threat to us, Nubis said confidently. He had it all worked out already. A sliver of joy immediately appeared on the patriarch's face, but it was soon followed up by a sliver of awkwardness. Warriors, your strength astounds me, but a 13th star and 14th star Sea Soul warriors arrived before you and we have already reached an agreement with them. Well, isn't that simple? You can just dismiss the 2 of them, said Nubis. Dismiss? Humph, I want to see who's arrogant enough to boast like that. As soon as Nubis finished what he was saying, an angry old voice boomed from outside. At the same time, a black-robed old man angrily strode in from outside. Behind the old man followed a middle-aged man in tight robes. Right now, he was filled with anger too. The 2 of them were the experts who had arrived before Jian Chen and Nubis to assist the Dare tribe. The patriarch immediately stood up to greet the 2. He was extremely courteous, as the 2 of them were not any weaker than himself. As the patriarch, he needed to think for the tribe and could not offend any saint rulers so easily. Not to mention that these 2 saint rulers were helpers who had come to assist the Dare tribe in repelling the Menghuang tribe. As proud as ever, Nubis did not treat the 2 of them politely. He glanced past them coldly and a sliver of disdain appeared in his eyes. He said coldly, "You dare to speak to me, the great Nubis, with a voice like that? Looks like you don't even know how to spell death. Old man, if you're smart, piss off far and wide right now or I'll wipe out your origin soul." The black-robed old man became enraged, abruptly narrowing his eyes. He yelled, "You arrogant brat, you actually dare to look down on people like this? Let's see if you actually have the right to be arrogant or not." With that, the old man's hand turned into a claw that he swung toward Nubis with lightning speed. At the same time, the space around Nubis froze immediately. The old man had already immobilized Nubis with his spatial force. Mockery appeared on Nubis's face. With a slight jolt of his body, the frozen space in the surroundings shattered immediately. He formed a fist with his hand, hurling it forward mightily without a pause. As the 2 fists collided, a boom erupted. Air shot off in all directions violently, which caused the entire hall to be jolted. If it were not for the fact that the patriarch had used his own strength in the crucial moment to protect the hall, it might have collapsed entirely. The old man immediately began to pale, stumbling backward. With every step, he left behind a deep footprint, only stabilizing himself after taking more than 10 steps. With that, he could no longer hold it down any longer and immediately vomited a mouthful of blood. He was quite badly injured. On the other hand, Nubis remained unperturbed as before, standing there casually, he did not even move. As a silver-striped golden snake, a beast of antiquity, his capability for battle was already extremely great. Combined his strength as a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler, there were rarely any enemies who could match him. Probably only Supreme Saint Kings could put some pressure on him. The old man before him was a 14th star Sea Soul warrior, but he was only in the 7th heavenly layer. How could he be Nubis's opponent? Not only did Nubis's strength astound the black-robed old man, it even shocked the patriarch of the Dare tribe very much. Nubis's power greatly exceeded what he had anticipated. The patriarch returned to his senses very quickly, immediately running in to stop the 2 of them. He begged, "Please calm down, warriors, please calm down. Why must you get into such a big fight over something so small? My small territory won't be able to withstand a struggle between the two warriors. Jian Chen stood up from his seat and looked at the two other people. With clasped hands, he said, "Sirs, forgive us but please leave. The two of us need crystal coins urgently, so we'll be taking all 10 million of them." The black-robed old man was sheet white. He clasped his hands at Nubis and said expressionlessly, "This warrior's strength is admirable. I, Xiaofan, will not be participating in this time. Patriarch, since you've invited even stronger warriors, there's no need for me to stay. Farewell." Throwing that down, the old man turned around and left. The patriarch sighed secretly, before pulling out a space belt from his space ring, tossing it to the old man. "Xiaofan, I need to apologize for this. There are 100,000 high-quality crystal coins inside it. Please take this as a gift from the Dare tribe." The old man did not reject it. He accepted the space belt tossed over by the patriarch and quickly looked through it. His expression eased, before he clasped his hands at the patriarch. "Thanks." The patriarch could finally relax a little. The old man here was much stronger than him. His tribe could not offend him. With the departure of the black-robed old man, the other middle-aged man who had come to assist the Dare tribe did not stay much longer either. He left after a conversation with Jian Chen and Nubis, no longer daring to carry an expression of unhappiness. Nubis's strength had shocked him deeply. However, before he left, the patriarch gifted him the same amount of crystal coins, neutralizing any unhappiness that may have existed between the two. "Grand Elder, announce the news immediately. My Dare tribe has already found enough experts to deal with the Menghuang tribe. We can now officially take down the recruitment notice." The patriarch immediately sent down orders. He was scared that more saint rulers would approach the Dare tribe to help only to be met with disappointment. Afterward, the patriarch led Jian Chen and Nubis with even more enthusiasm to a secret room, where they discussed the matter in detail. Seeing how Nubis heavily injured a 14th-star Sea Soul warrior with a single punch, the patriarch was now at ease completely. He was confident that the two of them possessed the strength to fend off the Menghuang tribe. "Patriarch, do you know when the Menghuang tribe will attack?" Jian Chen asked. The patriarch said after some thought, "The auction that occurs once every century is about to be held in Jia City. A fragment of the Octaterra map will appear in the auction this time, so many large organizations will fight for it. Other than that, many rare treasures will be auctioned off as well. I believe the Menghuang tribe will attack us after the auction, and take control of the spiritual vein in our possession. I just never thought that the Menghuang tribe would even take a fancy for our small spiritual vein that only produces 100,000 grand quality crystal coins when they're already in possession of a medium-sized one." Chapter 864, The Menghuang Tribe Patriarch. The auction just happens to have what we need. When the auction starts, I wish that the patriarch can accompany us and help us buy what we need, said Jian Chen. With that, a sliver of hesitancy appeared on the Dare tribe patriarch's face. Jian Chen understood what he was worrying about, so he followed up. "Don't worry, patriarch. We are men of our word. Since we have agreed, we will definitely do it. Once the auction ends, we will definitely help you deal with the Menghuang tribe. If the Menghuang tribe does not come, we'll kill our way into the Menghuang tribe on our own accord. Is that fine?" Sure. Since the two warriors have put it like that, I will try to cooperate to the best of my ability, said the patriarch as he smiled gently. Afterward, Jian Chen and Nubis settled down in the Dare tribe and awaited any sudden attacks from the Menghuang tribe. They were warmly welcomed by the entire tribe and treated like kings. At the same time, the news that the Dare tribe had found enough experts to deal with the Menghuang tribe was broadcasted out too. It raised quite a large commotion. Other than the grand auction of Jia City held once every 100 years, the discussions between people now involved the battle between the Menghuang tribe and the Dare tribe. Although there was a great disparity in strength between the two tribes, they both had saint rulers. On the Tianyuan continent, they would be hermit clans, large tribes that stood at the peak in a radius of 100,000 kilometers within the territory of the sea race. The battle between the two tribes would naturally raise the attention of many people. In an ancient forest 50 kilometers from the Dare tribe, small buildings completely made from wood filled the surroundings. People constantly flowed in and out, while sounds of laughter and cheerfulness rang out from time to time. The atmosphere was extremely lively, teeming with life. This was the large tribe renowned in the region, the Menghuang tribe. In the center of the tribe stood a tall tower completely constructed from rock. The tower was the most sacred building in the tribe. Its existence represented the peace and strength that the Menghuang tribe experienced with each generation. This was because the four most powerful protectors of the tribe lived in it. Currently, 4 old men sat around a table at the very top of the tower. They were all stern. "I've just received the news that the Dare tribe has found enough experts to repel us. I wonder if this is true or false," said a ruddy old man. He was the current patriarch of the tribe, while the 3 others were the 2 protector elders and the previous patriarch. The previous patriarch was the most powerful one here. "Looks like the Dare tribe plans to have a battle to the death with us. I just wonder what strength the experts they've recruited possess," a protector elder said huskily. "Although the Dare tribe has some wealth, it's not enough for them to invite any true experts. Also, our tribe is famed. One of our talented members have been selected to become an emissary of the Serpent God Hall. He has great status. In the territory of the Serpent God Hall, no one dares to treat us impolitely except for those peak-level tribes or clans. As such, I deduce that the Dare tribe's information is false, only made with the intent to make us fear them. The other possibility is that the helpers they've recruited don't actually want to help them and only want to con them out of their coins. As a result, I'm not going to pay any attention to this at all. As soon as the auction concludes, we'll kill our way into the Dare tribe," a protector elder analyzed. "Previous patriarch, what do you think?" The current patriarch asked the old man who remained sitting there with his eyes closed. The previous patriarch slowly opened his eyes. "Although we're so renowned that even several large tribes need to act courteously, we're not without enemies. I am guessing that there would probably be previous enemies among the experts that have been recruited by the Dare tribe, so we can't overlook this. Now that the auction in Jas City is about to start, the last fragment of the Octaterra map is about to appear too. It'll attract a fight from many large tribes, or even peak-level tribes, so it's inconvenient for us to start fighting before the auction. The 3 of you, go check on the Dare tribe to see whether it's true or not after the auction ends." In the blink of an eye, a dozen or so days passed. It was now the important day where the grand auction would start in Jas City. The emergence of the Octaterra map fragment had attracted many experts and large tribes to gather in Jas City long ago, which made it seem calm on the surface while matters surged beneath. It was the calm before the storm. Before the auction had even started, a large group of people had already gathered outside the auction center. Gazing over it, the group formed a sea of people. There were so many that even the nearby streets had become blocked. There was a constant hubbub of voices as people discussed things. A portion of the people had only come to watch, while the other portion had come for the auction. However, all those who had arrived beforehand did not possess much background. They were all people from a few small tribes or clans. 2 hours later, the loud sound set off fireworks rose up from the surroundings. A great boom followed afterward in the sky, which lit up the surroundings with colorful lights. It was quite beautiful. At the same time, the doors of the auction center were slowly opened too. The people who had crowded outside all began to move inward, entering the auction center in an orderly fashion. Around 30 meters up the huge auction castle, a round platform 100 meters wide slowly extended outward. It was for receiving special guests with great status and had reserved enclosure. On the platform, several dozen young girls dressed glamorously walked about gracefully. They all carried bright smiles and gave people a cordial feeling. As the platform stabilized, several waves of people flew up from the grounds, directly landing on the platform. They were warmly received by the female servants and led through a special tunnel to their enclosures. However, those who had the right to enter the platform were all prestigious members of the sea race. There were plenty of people from first-rate clans and tribes that were equivalent to hermit and ancient clans on the Tianyuan continent. Jian Chen and Nubis also flew over with the patriarch of the Dare tribe from far away and directly entered the platform. Immediately, a servant walked up with a shining smile and said softly, "3 esteemed warriors, please present the number plate to your private enclosure so that this one can help lead the way." The patriarch immediately pulled out the number plate to his reserved enclosure and passed it to the servant. "Warriors, please follow me." The servant girl's smile was like 100 flowers blooming, extremely pretty. The 3 of them said nothing and followed the servant inside. Besides them, many other people from different tribes were also received by a servant then led into the castle. At this very moment, the patriarch's steps paused slightly. He suddenly glanced behind him, while a glaring light began to flicker through his eyes. A sliver of obscure killing intent rose from his body. There were plenty of saint rulers among the people who could be seated on the platform. The change in the patriarch was immediately noticed by them, so many of them immediately looked over curiously. However, no one said anything. Even though the Dare tribe was not powerful, he was still a saint ruler after all. No one wanted to provoke a saint ruler for nothing. Jian Chen and Nubis also halted their steps. When they saw the behavior of the patriarch, they immediately followed his gaze. They saw that in the distance, 3 old men flew toward the platform with several heaven saint masters. The 2 of them could tell with a single glance that the 3 old men were saint rulers. Warriors, they're people from the Menghuang tribe. The 3 leading old men are the present patriarch of the tribe and the 2 protector elders, the patriarch of the Dare tribe said softly. His gaze toward them was filled with an unconcealable hatred. A sliver of interest flickered in Jian Chen and Nubis's eyes. Their gazes toward the 3 old men immediately took a cold turn. "Ha ha ha, I never thought that the patriarch of the Dare tribe would participate in the auction this time as well. It has really surprised the 3 of us." The 3 old men from the Menghuang tribe also discovered the Dare tribe patriarch's presence. Immediately, one of them laughed aloud. "Hee, didn't the Dare tribe spend all its wealth searching for experts? How would you have additional crystal coins to come participate in the auction this time?" The old man in the center laughed. He was the current patriarch. As he spoke, the 3 experts from the Menghuang tribe unconsciously studied Jian Chen and Nubis, who stood beside the patriarch of the Dare tribe. The face of the Dare tribe patriarch darkened. He sneered, "Menghuang tribe, I want to see how long you can still act so arrogantly. After the auction concludes, my Dare tribe will be awaiting your Menghuang tribe's arrival." The 3 experts' expressions changed and their eyes immediately narrowed. The current patriarch said, "Patriarch, I wonder what type of experts you have found to boast like this. The 2 warriors beside me are both powerful sea soul warriors of the 14th star. Menghuang tribe, do you really think that my Dare tribe is easy to oppress?" The patriarch sneered. As soon as they heard that Jian Chen and Nubis were 14th star sea soul warriors, the 3 old men's expressions immediately became rather ugly. They really did not think that the Dare tribe would succeed in recruiting such experts. If the Dare tribe really did gain the assistance of 2 14th star sea soul warriors, their tribe would experience much greater difficulties in swallowing up the Dare tribe. They could even be faced with failure. The 3 old men immediately focused their attention on Jian Chen and Nubis. The patriarch of the Menghuang tribe said, "May I inquire the names of these 2 warriors?" Jian Chen glanced indifferently at the 3 experts from the Menghuang tribe. He did not pay much attention to them, turning around and speaking to Nubis and the Dare tribe patriarch, "Let's go in. The auction's about to start." "You are right. The auction's starting soon. We can't afford to waste time with the people from the Menghuang tribe. Let's go, let's go." The patriarch of the Menghuang tribe immediately followed with what Jian Chen wanted, before they were gradually led off into the distance by the female servant. Looking at the backs of the three experts from the Menghuang tribe who had been cast aside immediately became extremely ugly. Their faces became so dark that they would be on the brink of raining if they were clouds. The two mysterious people recruited by the Dare tribe are very powerful. "I can't see through them at all," said a protector elder of the Menghuang tribe. "I can't see through them either, and I can vaguely feel a vast pressure from the two of them. They're definitely Sea Soul warriors of the 14th star. Looks like the Dare tribe really has found the strength to deal with us," said the other protector elder. Chapter 865, The auction begins. It'll be extremely disadvantageous to us when experts like that help the Dare tribe. Since they've been drawn to the Dare tribe by crystal coins, I wonder if we can draw them over to us with an even greater price. If that's possible, our tribe's strength will increase even more again without a doubt, said a protector elder of the Menghuang tribe. The price to draw over two 14th star Sea Soul warriors definitely won't be little. It'll be at least 10 million grand quality crystal coins, but if we want to take the spiritual vein in the Dare tribe's possession, this price will be worth it, murmured the current patriarch. Afterward, he followed a servant with the two protector elders and his clansmen into the auction center. The small disruption on the platform did not affect the auction at all. When the people of both clans disappeared from the platform, it became peaceful once again. Many large tribes and organizations arrived on the platform in an orderly fashion, before being escorted away by an enthusiastic servant. The auction of Jas City was extremely grand. The 50-meter-tall castle was emptied and divided into 10 floors, where each floor was filled with seats. At the very front was the stage where objects were displayed and auctioned off. The private enclosures were built into the highest parts of the walls. It wrapped around the entire castle, separated by a special type of glass. The people inside could see exactly what was going on outside, but people outside could not look in. Within the private enclosure, Jian Chen and Nubis sat comfortably on a soft sofa with satisfied expressions. The patriarch sat beside them, studying the situation of other enclosures through the special glass. The servant who had escorted the three of them carried many delicious desserts and fruits of unknown names, which she placed on the crystal table. She said, "Warriors, these are all delicious desserts and fruits of the sea race. Please try them as you please. I am called Lan Shuiling. If the warriors require anything, this servant will do her best to fulfill the warriors' requests." Lan Shuiling smiled brightly. She exuded a special charm, while a cheerful light flowed from her bright eyes. Nubis clutched his head on the sofa, half inclined. He squinted his eyes at Lan Shuiling while his lips curled into an evil smile. He joked, "If I, the great Nubis, want your body, will you fulfill my request too?" "Of course." Lan Shuiling smiled charmingly and began to take off her clothes slowly. It immediately revealed a great section of her water blue skin. Seeing this, Jian Chen frowned slightly. He waved his hand at Lan Shuiling. "All right, you can stop stripping. The three of us need to discuss some important matters. You can go out for now. We'll call you when we need you." "Yes, esteemed warrior." Lan Shuiling stopped taking off her clothes and bowed courteously to the three of them, before leaving with gentle steps. "What a provocative girl," murmured Nubis as he watched Lan Shuiling disappear off into the distance with bright and limpid eyes. "Nubis, surely you haven't taken a liking to her?" Jian Chen laughed softly. "Piss off. I, the great Nubis, do not take a liking for ordinary girls like that. Though you're pretty good, aren't you?" To actually hook up with that devastatingly beautiful girl. Admirable, truly admirable. Nubis smiled evilly as he reached the end of these words. 2 hours later, the large center was finally filled with people. Various discussions filled the entire place like the constant buzzing of a bee. Guests. Suddenly, a bright voice rang out. It echoed through the entire center, and the voices of all those who were seated finally quietened down. In the blink of an eye, the noisy center became deathly silent. Only a large mass of people could be seen. A slightly skinny old man stood on the platform at the very front with a smile. The voice from before was his, and he was the auctioneer this time. He was a 13th star Sea Soul warrior. Guests, I welcome you warmly to the grand auction held once every 100 years. Not only will we be displaying even more treasures and worldly wonders than previous auctions, we've also received the last fragment of the Octaterra map, which has received the attention of many large tribes. The auctioneer paused slightly when he reached here, before continuing. I believe that many of the seated guests know very well about the origins of this fragment. It was left behind by the Octaterra Emperor who once shook up the entire sea realm. The Octaterra Emperor was a cultivator of our sea realm who did not join any organizations, but he exceeded many geniuses with his own talent alone and without any master. He paved a path of corpses and bones in his life to the peak, shaking up the entire sea realm and becoming an emperor who received the respect of countless people. Although the emperor has passed away from age, the Octaterra Divine Hall he once constructed still remains. It has been sealed into a region of void by the Octaterra Emperor's absolute strength, while the Octaterra map is the route to the Divine Hall and the key that opens it. The Octaterra Emperor went without disciples, always by himself. It is rumored that when he passed away, he left his legacy and all he had learned in the Octaterra Divine Hall. I believe everyone understands extremely well what it means once they receive the legacy of the Octaterra Emperor. He has also left all his belongings in the Divine Hall aside from his legacy. Everyone, I believe you have an even better understanding than old me about just how wealthy an emperor's belongings are. That's a vast wealth only second to the 3 supreme halls of our sea realm. Hearing this, a series of haggard breaths immediately appeared in the quiet crowd. The legacy and wealth of an emperor was a great, irresistible enticement to all those present. Even the members of peak-level clans could not remain calm. Seated within the private enclosure, Jian Chen and Nubis could not help but have their hearts beat faster too. They were already deeply interested in the map fragment, while the patriarch had lost even more control compared to them. The great wealth had already dyed his eyes green with envy as he snorted roughly. However, the patriarch calmed down very quickly, gradually returning to how he was before. He knew that he had no future that would involve the map fragment. The matters regarding it were not something he could delve into. The auctioneer's voice rang out once again, 7 fragments have already appeared. This fragment will be the final one. Everyone, as long as someone obtains this map fragment, they'll gain the right to entire the Octaterra Divine Hall and gain some great blessing. Alright, I won't ramble anymore. As the main treasure for the auction this time, it'll be auctioned off last. We'll begin the auction now. The first treasure is, afterward, treasures were brought up and auctioned off one by one. The auction was only held once in 100 years, so without any doubt, all of the items were the finest of the fine. Everything brought on stage would institute a battle between many people. Various prices were called out one after another in a vicious battle of wealth. We'll now be auctioning off a ruler armament left behind by a human expert when he passed away in meditation. The starting price is 100,000 grand quality crystal coins. The auctioneer's voice rang through the entire building. Jian Chen and Nubis's eyes snapped open abruptly. They stared in the direction of the stage in interest and watched a machete being brought up carefully by a skimpily dressed servant. It really is a ruler armament. It's a ruler armament left behind by a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler. Jian Chen was secretly shocked. Every ruler armament was treated as a clan treasure by the hermit clans on the Tianyuan continent. They were extremely valuable, but he never thought that in the sea, there would be people who would auction off these extremely valuable ruler armaments. According to what I know, only human experts can use ruler armaments. Are members of the sea race able to use them just like humans? Jian Chen thought, before looking toward the patriarch of the Dare tribe. He asked, "Patriarch, may I ask exactly what the sea race uses the ruler armaments of humans for?" With that, an astonished light flashed across the patriarch's eyes. However, he still provided a detailed explanation. Esteemed warrior, the ruler armaments of human experts are a rare treasure to the sea race. This ruler armament was left behind by a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler after he passed away. Not only does it contain his strength, it also contains quite a lot of the 3 vital energies. If we absorb it, it can greatly increase our strength. Are ruler armaments able to be refined and absorbed? Jian Chen was surprised. He did not think that the sea race would have this ability too, as he could only do so with the assistance of the sword spirits. Of course you can. As long as you use the spirit-converting formation of the sea race, you'll be able to refine the ruler armament into energy we can absorb. However, only we will use this method. Humans won't, because they can just use it directly and display great powers with it. For them, the strength brought on from a ruler armament is much greater than the energy gained from absorbing it, the patriarch explained. Is that so? Jian Chen reached an understanding. Members of the sea race were unable to use ruler armaments like humans, but they had methods to refine it into pure energy to absorb. 150,000 grand quality crystal coins. 180,000 grand quality crystal coins. 200,000 grand quality crystal coins. 250,000 grand quality crystal coins. The appearance of the ruler armament ignited an intense fight. The price quickly skyrocketed from 100,000 grand quality crystal coins to 500,000, and after another series of intense fights, it was sold off for a price of 800,000 grand quality crystal coins. It was bought by a large tribe. Chapter 866, Fight for the Divine Water of the World. Jian Chen shook his head. Although the crystal coins of the sea race and the purple coins from Tianyuan continent were 2 different currencies, he knew that the ruler armament was sold for too low of a price. This was all because the effect of ruler armaments was not as great to the sea race compared to humans. If it were not for the fact that Jian Chen wanted to save enough money to buy the holy water of the Spirit Sea, he would participate in the auction and buy the ruler armament. Even though he had no use for it himself, the people around him could use it, as it was extremely difficult to obtain a ruler armament on the Tianyuan continent. Afterward, valuable items were all auctioned off one by one. Not only were there various pills and medicines, there were also 10,000-year-old heavenly resources. However, these heavenly resources were all sold for a much lower price when compared to its price in purple coins on the Tianyuan continent. This was because purple coins were only made from a metal that was valuable due to its scarcity. The metal's only use was to make coins, unlike the crystal coins that were condensed entirely from water-attributed world essence. They could be absorbed to increase one's strength and possessed an extremely great effect. We'll be auctioning a Class 8 Radiant Spirit pill next. The pill originates from the distant Tianyuan continent, and it's a divine medicine for healing wounds. It's extremely valuable. Even heavily injured 15th star or 16th star Sea Soul warriors would only need a second for their severe injuries to heal. It's equivalent to a second life. The starting price will be 200,000 grand quality crystal coins. 300,000 grand quality crystal coins, 350,000 grand quality crystal coins, 500,000 grand quality crystal coins. Class 8 Radiant Spirit pills could only be produced on the Tianyuan continent, and only Class 7 Radiant Saint Masters could create them. Very few ever made it to the sea realm, so their value was obvious. As a result, the price of Class 8 Radiant Spirit pills was far greater in the Sea realm than on the Tianyuan continent. The single pill was sold for 1,200,000 grand quality crystal coins in the end. Jian Chen squinted his eyes as he sat half-inclined on the sofa. He thought to himself, I didn't think that Class 8 Radiant Spirit pills would be so valuable. A single one was sold for a great price of 1,200,000 grand quality crystal coins. Now that I'm a Class 7 Radiant Saint Master, maybe I should create some of them and exchange them for crystal coins too. The creation of the pills might need a sliver of the origin energy of Radiant Scient Force, but the artifact spirit should have plenty of it. No need to waste mine. Though a problem would be the shell of the pills. There aren't any alchemists that know how to produce the shells, so I can't create those Class 8 Radiant Spirit pills at all. Jian Chen already made up his mind. If all the conditions were right, he would definitely create a few Class 8 Radiant Spirit pills. As long as he had enough pill shells, creating the pills using the artifact spirit's power should be a piece of cake. Even the legendary Class 9 Radiant Spirit pills would not be a problem. In the blink of an eye, the auction had already continued for 2 whole days. It went for the whole length of time without any breaks. Fortunately, the people who were able to sit here possessed uncanny strength. 2 days without resting, eating or drinking was unable to affect them. The object to be auctioned next is a divine object that is rarely seen even in 1,000 years, the divine water of the world. This water is only produced in the dangerous divine realm. It appears once in 1,000 years and is extremely valuable, but you cannot ignore its powerful effects. With just a mouthful, it can reborn those with ordinary talent into cultivation geniuses rarely seen even in 1,000 years with unlimited potential. Other than this, the divine water has wondrous effects on 13th and 14th star Sea Soul warriors. Not only does it increase their strength greatly, it refines their souls and allows it to become much more powerful. This builds a solid foundation for when they reach the 15th star. If a Sea Soul warrior at the peak of the 14th star consumes it, they have a very great chance of overcoming the bottleneck and breaking through to the 15th star. There's only one portion of the divine water, so please value this very rare opportunity, warriors who are seeking it. You must not miss this chance or you'll have to wait another 1,000 years. The starting price will be 500,000 grand quality crystal coins. The appearance of the divine water immediately caused Jian Chen to focus his attention. He snapped open his slightly closed eyes and sat up straight from his half-inclined position on the sofa. This was because this divine water was the holy water of the Spirit Sea he required. It was produced in the Spirit Sea but just had a different name among the sea race. Noticing Jian Chen's reaction, Nubis asked, "Is the divine water what you wanted?" Jian Chen nodded. "Correct, this is extremely important to me. I need to obtain it no matter what." The patriarch of the Dare tribe glanced at Jian Chen. He said nothing. He knew the value of the divine water and was actually worried. He was unsure whether he could buy the divine water with 10 million grand quality crystal coins. It was always rumored among the sea race that those who ingested the water had an extremely great chance of reaching the 15th star or even the 16th star. As a result, whenever it appeared, many large tribes would fight over it. The intense battle for the divine water had already started. Many organizations who were seated in their own private enclosures had expressed their interest in the water, all speaking their price. Very quickly, the price rose up from the initial 500,000 crystal coins to over 3 million. "Patriarch, it'll all be up to you whether we win the divine water of the world this time." Jian Chen looked toward the patriarch with a stern expression. The patriarch forced a smile and said, "Esteemed warriors, my Dare tribe will do all it can to help you." Right now, the patriarch of the Dare tribe had no other choice. If he wanted to save the Dare tribe, he could only get on Jian Chen's good side with all he had. Jian Chen nodded before speaking his price, 5 million grand quality crystal coins. Jian Chen increased the price by over 1 million crystal coins in one go, causing the auction to fall silent instantly. Immediately, many people looked in his direction. 5,200,000 grand quality crystal coins. However, another price rang out very quickly that exceeded Jian Chen's 5 million. 5,400,000 grand quality crystal coins, 5,500,000 grand quality crystal coins, 5,600,000 grand quality crystal coins. The price continued to rise. There were still many people from large tribes who refused to give up on this fight. 8 million grand quality crystal coins. Jian Chen spoke his price from his private enclosure expressionlessly. The value of the holy water had greatly exceeded what he had anticipated. He already found it a little difficult to endure as he was now very close to the 10 million amount supplied by the Dare tribe. He could only raise the price madly, to express how determined he was in obtaining the water and to get others to back off. This time, the price was increased from 5 million and something to 8 million. It had jumped by a total of over 2 million crystal coins. This immediately frightening some people, clans, and tribes into giving up the battle for the divine water. The three experts of the Menghuang tribe sat on soft sofas in an enclosure opposite Jian Chen's. A protector elder said with a soft voice, "The previous patriarch is already approaching the peak of the 14th star. He's about to reach the 15th, so we need to obtain it." "You're right. Once the previous patriarch breaks through, the status of our tribe will increase once again. We need to buy it and bring it back for the previous patriarch," added the other protector elder. After some slight thought in silence, the current patriarch said, "The voice that increased it to 8 million seems rather familiar. It seems like it's one of the two mysterious experts that the Dare tribe has recruited, so that's even more reason why we can't let them obtain it." With that, he called out a price immediately, 8,500,000 grand quality crystal coins. Two middle-aged men in long blue robes sat in another enclosure with darkened complexions. They were also authoritative members of a large tribe, clearly with illustrious statuses. "As the patriarch of my tribe, it's a pity my son's talent is ordinary. He probably won't even be able to reach the 11th star before the end of his life. How will he succeed me as patriarch in the future? The divine water just happens to be the solution to my son's problems. As long as I have the water, my son will immediately morph into a genius at cultivation. He'll experience no problems reaching the 13th star and will even have the chance to reach the 15th. I need to obtain the divine water of the world." 8,800,000 grand quality crystal coins, murmured one of the middle-aged men. He had named an even greater price. Four extremely ordinary-looking old men sat in another enclosure. One of them frowned with their eyebrows pinched, while a cold light flickered in his eyes from time to time. "Let it go, Elder Ho Tu, let's give up on the divine water of the world. Our target is the fragment of the Octaterra map. We need to save enough money for it. We can't waste too much on other things," said one of the old men as he looked at his unhappy companion. The downcast elder nodded and sighed softly. "All right, we can only give up on the divine water. It's a pity for it to actually appear at the same time as the Octaterra map fragment. Otherwise, I would buy it no matter what. It's a wondrous treasure of the world rarely seen even in 1,000 years. 9 million grand quality crystal coins." A malicious-looking young man in tight, blue robes named his price from another enclosure. He had already reached the peak of the 14th star, equivalent to a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler on the Tianyuan continent. The final barrier blocked him well and truly, making it extremely difficult for him to break through. He did not have much time left either, so he could only break through with the help of the divine water. "I only have 100 or so years left. Even if I have to take out everything I've saved up in the past 3,000 years or even all my wealth, I have to win this divine water of the world. It's my only chance at breaking through," growled the young-looking man. A sliver of great killing intent appeared in his eyes. 9,500,000 grand quality crystal coins. Jian Chen broadcasted his price once again. Right now, he too had become downcast. He was only 500,000 coins away from his absolute limit. 10 million grand quality crystal coins. The current patriarch of the Menghuang tribe increased the price. He had come especially for the divine water of the world this time. His tribe had not even considered fighting for the Octaterra map fragment. It was something they had no interest in participating in at all. Chapter 867, Xia Wang. Jian Chen's complexion immediately became extremely ugly. He clenched his fist tightly and powerful killing intent had vaguely appeared in his eyes. If it were other treasures that would be won by others, he still had the time to steal it, but the divine water of the world was different. Jian Chen was really worried that the buyer would consume it immediately after they won it from the auction, cutting off all possibilities of other people stealing it. 10,500,000 grand quality crystal coins, said the malicious-looking young man. His complexion was very ugly too. The price was approaching his limit. 11 million grand quality crystal coins, said a middle-aged man with gritted teeth from one of the enclosures. Jian Chen turned to the patriarch of the Dare tribe. Patriarch, may I ask how much more crystal coins your tribe is able to take out? Treat it as me borrowing the extra amount. I will definitely repay you with several times the amount. After some thought in silence, the patriarch said bitterly, if my Dare tribe empties its pockets completely, it should be able to pull out another 5 million grand quality crystal coins. Warrior, since you need it, my Dare tribe will give you the 5 million. We just need you to help us eliminate the Menghuang tribe to prevent any consequences. The patriarch's heart bled as he said that. The 15 million crystal coins were all the tribe's savings from the past 1,000 years. It had basically wrenched the tribe dry. Fortunately, they possessed a spirit vein so they could produce quite a lot of crystal coins every year. As long as the tribe was able to stay safe, it would be able to return to how it was without much time. Jian Chen did not act polite and said, I will remember the patriarch's kindness. I will definitely return the 5 million coins several folds. 11,200,000 grand quality crystal coins, the voice from the Menghuang tribe rang out once again. In their enclosure, the foreheads of the three experts were covered with cold sweat. According to their estimations, they would only need 1 million grand quality crystal coins, yet the price had now far exceeded that. It was approaching their limit. Although their tribe possessed both a medium and a small-sized spirit vein, the crystal coins were inexpendable despite being able to produce so much every year. Moreover, their tribe was very populous and would consume a large number of crystal coins for cultivation every day. It would amount to 80% of the coins produced by the veins every year, while the remaining 20% would be stored away. They did not have much at all. 12 million grand quality crystal coins. I, Xia Wang, will be taking this divine water of the world. If there's anyone who's able to pay an even greater price, then do it. I won't be continuing the battle, the malicious-looking young man said loudly. A powerful killing intent slightly radiated from his body. The 12 million coins were all his wealth. They were only collected with difficulty from raiding many small tribes and killing countless experts of the sea race. He was unable to take out any more than that now. What? That person's actually Xia Wang. It's actually the terrifying Xia Wang who kills without even batting an eyelid. This Xia Wang is just too despicable. He actually robbed me on the way, forcefully taking 100,000 grand quality crystal coins. A hubbub of discussion immediately arose in the quiet auction center. All of them were discussing Xia Wang, while their voices were filled with anger and great hatred. Clearly, this Xia Wang had offended many people outside, but he was extremely powerful, so very few people dared to seek revenge on him. In a private enclosure, the middle-aged man immediately reacted after hearing the name. He muttered, I never thought it would actually be Xia Wang. Xia Wang's a sea soul warrior at the peak of the 14th star. He's only an inch away from the 15th and he should be approaching the end of his life. If I win the divine water, Xiaofan will definitely hold back nothing and steal it. Bah, I'm not going for the water anymore. In the Menghuang tribe's enclosure, the two protector elders and the current patriarch also had extremely ugly expressions. Sigh, let's give up. Xiaofang's really powerful. He's reached the peak several hundred years ago and is far beyond the old patriarch. Even if you add the three of us and the previous patriarch, we'll probably only be able to reach a stalemate with him. If we keep going for the water, we'll definitely offend him. At that time, Xiaofan might just kill his way into our tribe and create a great disaster, sighed one of the protector elders. Ah, let's not fight for it anymore. Although the previous patriarch will probably be able to reach the 15th star in less than 100 years with the divine water, we'll probably be ambushed by Xiaofan halfway on the road before we make it back if it does end up in our hands. The current patriarch also spoke out his thoughts. He immediately gave up on the idea of obtaining the divine water. Xiaofan was a loner. He was free of ties and was approaching the end of his life. He no longer had anything to lose, so he could do anything. Let alone the other, smaller tribes, he would even dare to intrude peak-level tribes that had 15th star sea soul warriors protecting them. Xiaofan. The face of the patriarch of the Dare tribe became extremely unsightly. Exceedingly great fear appeared in his eyes. The name Xiaofan was like a thunderclap to him. This man was a harbinger of disaster 100 times more terrifying than the Menghuang tribe. I never thought he would also require the divine water so desperately. Warriors, let's not fight for it anymore. We can't offend Xiaofan because of this, said the patriarch to Jianchen and Nubis. He was pleading them. Jianchen glanced at the patriarch before slowly closing his eyes. He sat back on the soft, comfortable sofa once again and said with an ordinary tone, "Why not fight? I need it desperately too. Let alone someone who's 14th star, even if it's 15th star sea soul warrior, I would go for it too." But that Xiaofan, the patriarch's face was filled with worry. He was extremely fearful of Xiaofan. What are you scared for? Is this puny Xiaofan really that powerful? Why don't I, the great Nubis, feel it? Humph, if this little shit really does want trouble, I'll make sure that he returns dead, scoffed Nubis. The corner of his lips curled up with a sliver of disdain. Silver-striped golden snakes power up greatly after absorbing the hidden essence of their clansmen, but more importantly, they would evolve. They would evolve to a more powerful and greater existence. Although Nubis did not evolve after absorbing the hidden essence from the Class 8 magical beast, his gains were not little. His strength increased greatly such that even if he encountered beasts of antiquity that were at the same level as him, he would still be filled with confidence of victory. 12 million going once, the auctioneer's voice rang through the entire center. Xiaofan is infamous. Very few people want to offend him. Looks like the divine water is destined to end up in his hands. I just hope he doesn't succeed in his breakthrough. Otherwise, there'll be no chance for our revenge. A hubbub of discussion rose up in the auction center once again. Everyone believed that no one dared to name another price. 12 million twice, 12 million, I will pay 12,100,000 grand quality crystal coins. At this very moment, an extremely casual voice rang out from one of the private enclosures. The voice immediately silenced the huge auction center. At that moment, all of the people present looked toward the room where the voice came from as if they wanted to see just who dared to go against the renowned Xiaofan. In another enclosure, Xiaofan smashed the crystal table before him with a fist. His face was filled with rage as he said icily, "All right, all right, all right. I want to see just who wants to be enemies with me, Xiaofan." The three experts from the Menghuang tribe were also stunned by Jian Chen's voice. They all looked toward his enclosure in astonishment. Never did they think that the two experts recruited by the Dare tribe would go against Xiaofan. All right, all right. Looks like heaven's will really is greater than a person's wishes. I never thought they'd actually offend Xie Wang. That'll do it. We don't even need to move anymore. The Dare tribe's probably already going to face a calamity. One of the protector elders from the Menghuang tribe laughed aloud. The two experts recruited by the Dare tribe may both be 14th star Sea Soul warriors, but there's still a huge disparity among 14th star Sea Soul warriors. Xie Wang's reached the peak of the 14th star long ago, and he's only an inch away from reaching the 15th star. The Dare tribe's two experts definitely aren't enough to be his opponent, said the current patriarch of the Menghuang tribe as his face beamed with a happy smile. Jian Chen and Nubis had offended the infamous Xie Wang. This was naturally something the Menghuang tribe was extremely willing to see. Not only did the sudden voice shock many people, it even stunned the auctioneer. Perhaps it was due to the fact that he never thought that there would actually be someone who would offend the great Xie Wang for some divine water of the world. The divine water of the world was valuable, but it was not limited after all. Some would appear in the divine realm almost every 1,000 years. Obtaining it would just be another story. It would not be that easy, unless someone possessed great strength or had a fortuitous encounter. 12,100,000 once. Is there anyone else who is willing to pay a greater price? Broadcasted the auctioneer. 12,100,000 twice, 12,100,000 three times. Sold. I hereby announce that the divine water of the world rarely encountered in 1,000 years has been won by the guests in enclosure number 58. Jian Chen could not help but smile slightly. He had collected another material for forging the azulate swords, which made him very happy. He felt that this journey was well worth the while. If he had not come to Jia City, he probably would not have been able to see the divine water. The auction continued and many other valuable treasures appeared. Another day passed just like this, before the main item for auction this time was finally reached, the fragment of the Octaterra map. Many first-rate tribes and clans had come for this map fragment, so the auction for it was naturally even more intense. In less than 20 minutes, the price of the map fragment rose from the starting price of 5 million crystal coins to over 50 million, yet there were still plenty of clans still battling for it. The price continued to scale upward. Jian Chen did not participate in the battle for the map fragment and instead sat and watched. At this very moment, Jian Chen's eyes froze. He immediately became rather stern. He could feel that many powerful people had arrived outside the auction center. There were plenty of Saint Kings. Jian Chen, looks like obtaining the Octaterra map fragment won't be easy. I can feel the presence of Saint Kings, and there's quite a few of them, Nubis said to Jian Chen through a mental message. His voice was heavy. That's Xie Wang's name translated roughly to Crab King, while the one we have right now translates roughly to Malicious King. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.